What's going on, everybody? Welcome to LTMB Live. This is Let the Madness Begin. I'm Will Gaillard.
And I'm Mike White.
Back at our original time.
Original time, man. It feels funny because sun is still
sun's still up.
I still see light coming in the window.
True.
So it just doesn't feel right, man.
For a few weeks.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, daylight
savings time about to.
But yeah, this is our original time. So yeah, we're back at 7 p.m. This is the first time we've been back at 7 p.m. for a few months now. But yeah, we figure we come back to it. I think it works a little bit better. But glad to be here. Glad that you're here joining us. We have a lot to talk about tonight. A lot of stories we want to get into. So yeah, we're not early.
Yeah, I know, right? We on time. It's just
time.
That it's a time change. Well, if we early, that means you early then.
Yeah.
He just saw the notification. Yeah.
We announced it on the last show on Thursday that we were going to be making this change back to 7 p.m. and we did change all of our images, YouTube and Twitter and Facebook. We changed it all to let people know that we were going to be starting a little bit earlier. So like I said, that's what we do. So I got my I got Nike on.
Wait a second.
Got some Nike on.
You didn't cut holes in it or burn it or piss on it or throw it in the toilet, take a dump on it?
No. Yeah, I figured I'd wear it tonight just for, I don't know. I just figured.
You just felt
rep
like
the Yankees.
You just woke up this morning. You're like, know what?
I figured
I'll wear Nike
move
today.
Yeah. We'll get into.
There's nothing really behind it.
Nothing really behind it. We'll get into Nike in a little bit. What was happening earlier this morning was the confirmation hearing for Brett Kavanaugh, who is Trump's pick for the Supreme Court, and it was chaotic. Very chaotic. There were a lot of protesters. I think there was over 20 of them that were arrested. I believe I saw that correctly. But I watched most of it. And there was, it wasn't just protested by the people that were, holding up signs and yelling out while there were Republican congressmen that were speaking. Also, they were yelling out when the Democratic Congress members were speaking as well. But the Democratic Congress members on that Senate Judiciary Committee, they were protesting it as well because they felt like this proceeding shouldn't be taking place because of a lack of information that has not been released as it relates to
no transparency.
Brett Kavanaugh. And then they did get, I believe, 42,000 documents just yesterday. So I guess they were expected to go over all those documents in one single night before this hearing.
They were expected to go over those documents in one night because Republicans have made a point, and many of them were quoted, I guess, in the same regard. They didn't say the exact same thing, but pretty much they said, hey, we handed over the documents. We gave you what you wanted.
Right.
So you shouldn't have any issue from here on out because we gave you what you wanted. But I'm like, you gave them what they wanted the day before.
Right.
Not enough time to review thousands of pages of documents. That seems like it's purposeful.
Yeah, it is.
It's just like dumping a pile of papers on somebody's desk.
Yeah, and then expect them to sort it out in about a couple minutes.
Not only is that inconsiderate, considering this is a Supreme Court nominee and this is something serious.
Right.
That just seems a bit shady. So not only is it unprofessional, it's shady.
And this is a lifetime appointment. This is a lifetime appointment. Now, the Republicans that are on the Senate Judiciary Committee, of course, they were opposing the Democrats that were calling for these proceedings to be adjourned. They were they were just calling for a halt to them, to be postponed for a certain amount of days, maybe a week or two. They were really saying that, like, what's the rush to get this done right now? I know that Republicans want it done before the midterm elections, but it looks like that would have happened anyway. We're talking about maybe a few days, we're talking about maybe a couple weeks, and this will still be done before the midterm elections. Why not give everybody the chance to review all those documents so that they will ask relevant questions pertaining to his record?
That's what I guess Booker.
Yes, Booker was.
That's what Booker was asking Grassley.
I was actually very supportive of what Booker was saying today.
Overall, Booker, don't like him.
Right.
But if you're just judging the situation and judging what he said in a vacuum within this situation, yeah, I do agree, because he didn't kind of come at it from his standards.
Right.
He came at it from Chuck Grassley's standards. He even said that. He was like, look, these are the standards that you set up, and you're not even fulfilling that.
Right.
These are the standards that you set up. And so if I remember his words correctly, he was saying, like, look, I'm appealing to your principles. I'm appealing to your sense of decency right now. Like, you should hold yourself to that. Like, these are the rules that you set. These are the expectations that you set. Why can't you follow them? These are not mine. These are yours. And Cory Booker was expecting him to appeal to that.
Right.
So I can't help but agree with him on that one point.
On that point, yeah, because this is ignoring regular order. And we saw, you talking about Chuck Grassley, excuse me. You remember in 2016, it was February in 2016 when former Justice Antonin Scalia died. In March, President Barack Obama nominated Merrick Garland. In March now, he still had till January 20th to get out of office. But Chuck Grassley would not even give Merrick Garland a hearing.
So think about that. They would not even give Merrick Garland a hearing. So as it is right now, the point that we find ourselves at right now, Kavanaugh has been given the benefit of the doubt, essentially, because he is even allowed to proceed right now in a hearing.
Yes. And then on the subject of the missing documents, there is information that's being withheld through executive order. Trump is using executive power to withhold, to block those documents from being released, and it's during Kavanaugh's time as a White House lawyer under George W. Bush. So again, that's relevant information that I think senators should have, because again, you're talking about a lifetime appointment. You're talking about somebody that's going to be, he's young enough to be on the bench for decades. So why not have everything you need to ask him the relevant questions, like I said, pertaining to his record, and let him actually explain himself? Yeah, that's what this whole confirmation hearing is for.
White House, not White House, but Republicans have said that any advice given to a president as White House counsel should be off limits. And it should, I guess, have the same standards as, let's say, my lawyer, me and my lawyer. But that's not the case, because you're not serving as that president's lawyer per se. That's not the personal lawyer. You're the lawyer of the White House, which is different.
Right.
So the same rules do not apply. Like, that same privilege does not apply.
I agree.
Again, but what would be the reasoning behind the executive order? Why such this strong stance? Like, what about him, that you don't want to come out?
Again, that's the question. Like, what are you hiding about him? Why are you blocking thousands of documents relating to his time as
it's
a lawyer?
Not necessarily about the Democrats blocking a nominee. It's about Republicans failing to present documents that would inform Democrats on who they're actually questioning.
Right. And look, we know the Democrats need 2 Republicans to join them, and that's assuming all Democrats will vote against Kavanaugh's confirmation. But if they do, they would still need 2 Republicans to side with them to block Kavanaugh's appointment, to block his nomination to the highest bench, to the highest court. I'm not sure that's going to happen. I'm not even sure that all Democrats are going to band together and actually vote no. You have 3 conservative Democrats in Heidi Heitkamp, Donnelly, and your favorite and mine, Joe Manchin, who they all voted for the last Supreme Court nominee from President Trump, Gorsuch. Mm-hmm. So again, they all 3 of them are in re-election campaigns, and so I don't know. I don't know if they feel like his nomination or his confirmation is going to go through anyway, then maybe they won't. You know what I'm saying? Like band with the Democrats because it won't be worth anything.
So what do you think?
I guess not right now.
So what is the aim here in trying to force, I guess, Kavanaugh's history out? What's the aim here? Is it just to get it out in the open so that people are, like, I guess, held accountable?
Yeah,
even
if
he does, I guess, go through this hearing and it successfully becomes Supreme Court justice? Is it just to kind of have everything on record?
I believe so, because you remember when we talked about, and this was a few months ago, we talked about Wendy Vitter, who was nominated by Trump to a federal bench. And you remember her opinions on abortion and board versus education. Brown versus education. It was a really it was extremely bad look, and she has not been confirmed as of yet. So I think it is more about like public sentiment about who this person is. I don't know if anything's gonna sway these these Senate members. I think it would be public opinion. But I don't know. Like I said, right now they're blocking irrelevant information from coming out, and all these members on the Senate Judiciary Committee, they have not been provided ample time to actually go through what was dumped onto them just yesterday. I will say it's very interesting to see a president nominate two Supreme Court justices now. A president that lost the overall vote count by almost 3 million votes. It's very like, and this is not, this is not something to like advocate for Hillary Clinton or anything like that. It's just saying that for a president to not even get the majority of votes in a presidential election, and he's able to affect the United States in a profound way for decades.
So what you're saying is when Republicans use the talking point that since Trump was elected president, that somehow automatically validates whatever a nominee he puts forth.
Right. Yeah. I don't.
Because what's the talking point? America spoke.
Did they?
And I was like, no.
Did they speak in your way? Really?
Exactly. That kind of assumes that. I guess a president goes forth with an agenda, like only using one set of values, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And not a set of values that takes the entire nation into consideration, you know what I'm saying?
I think that's why we have to do something, but not do something. We need to get rid of the Electoral College for many reasons, but I can't support it. I never could. It never made any sense to me. I know there are some people who do consider themselves progressive, who believe in the same way we do on a host of issues, but on this one, they believe that the Electoral College should stay because you don't want to give too much power to like the high volume states like California and New York, and it's like that kind of rationale doesn't hold for me. It doesn't make any sense. If you're gonna say majority rule that shouldn't be the practice, then why does majority rule for any election? You know what I'm saying? Like for congressional, like for congressional races, Senate races.
Or like when
it's majority rule, right?
Or like when it comes to local races and whether it be counties and stuff like that. Yeah, there's always going to be a distribution of, I guess, power demographics in a certain direction.
Right.
So I tend to agree with you. Like, why use that standard at all if you're not using that standard like nationally?
Doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense.
And why shouldn't why should it matter where those people live in the first place? Why does that matter?
Why does it matter?
Usually, like when people make that point, what are they really saying? They're not talking about individuals having the ability to, I guess, sway an election. They're talking about a certain constituency. They're talking about a certain group of people,
a certain ideology.
Yeah. Well, if that ideology is in the majority,
exactly, right? It doesn't matter where you live. Anyway, but whatever. So anyway, those the Kavanaugh hearings are supposed to go on all week. So I assume it's going to be a pretty intense few days, and we'll be keeping an eye on it. He'll definitely be challenged and asked to explain his record, which I think is terrible, actually. His record on guns, his record on women's health care, his
abortion.
Yeah, I think it's terrible. Even though the Republicans portray him as one of the best Supreme Court nominations ever.
And probably the most important issue is I guess how he feels about a sitting president being indicted or being held responsible for something. That seems like the prime reason why President Trump chose him.
Yeah, corporations. His view on corporations.
Unions.
Always tend to side with corporations and
unions. Yeah,
this pick is dangerous.
He's a union buster.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on. Let's move on to this shirt that I'm wearing right here. So on Labor Day, Nike shocked many people when their new ad hit. It was the 30th anniversary of the Nike Just Do It campaign. And one of the faces, and actually it looks like the face, there are many faces, but the face of this campaign is Colin Kaepernick, the former NFL quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. So this is something to be highlighted because Colin Kaepernick has always been with Nike, but he has not appeared in an ad for about 2 years. And this goes back to 2016 when he started kneeling for the national anthem.
He already had a contract.
He already had a contract, and he's been being paid this whole time, but he hasn't appeared in an ad.
Yeah. I think we should get into that.
Yeah.
Like, I do think it's interesting that they chose him to be the face of their Just Do It campaign for the 30th anniversary.
Right.
But they weren't putting him in commercials.
Not in commercials or anything like that for like 2 years. So this is the ad, and it says believe in something even if it means sacrificing everything. So to know what Colin Kaepernick has been on a mission about, what he's been doing, what he's been trying to highlight, criminal justice reform in this country, those words are very profound. And it was Gino Fizinati, who is Nike's vice president of brand for North America, that said, quote, "We believe Colin is one of the most inspirational athletes of this generation who has leveraged the power of sport to help move the world forward."
I think all that is true. And I'm going to look at this situation and look at it from the standpoint of how it's going to further Colin Kaepernick's agenda, because I can give two fucks about Nike. I think there are a myriad of ways we can look at this. There's multiple angles that people are approaching this because Nike is a corporation and kind of their focus is their bottom line, period.
Right.
So I tend to look at this only from the standpoint of what it's going to do for Colin Kaepernick and what he represents. To me, this ain't about Nike because I have no good things to say about Nike. I think we can recognize what this will do for Colin Kaepernick and his activism, but simultaneously look at Nike with some skepticism and not like elevate the company to woke level. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not. You know what I'm saying? I think it's a business move because they're partial to the bottom line. I just think they're making a business calculation that'll make them look good in the future. I think they're ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
They want to, I guess, make themselves look like they're on the right side of history superficially. They're just trying to get ahead of the curve because they see something that maybe the NFL refuses to see. Like, I can give them credit for that and still see Nike as making like a business move. You know what I'm saying?
Well, this is a big business decision because, of course, they have the clout. I mean, they have the strength, the power. They just have what it takes to withstand any negative feedback that may arise because of a move like this. It's actually interesting, I guess the common perception of Nike. I actually did just like a little bit of research, and I know going back, if you go back years, if you go back decades, what seems to be synonymous with the word Nike or their brand is like sweatshops and slave labor,
exploitation in third world countries and stuff like that. Yeah.
I have actually seen that they have made several moves, like several significant moves to like clean that up and actually like distance themselves from all those pretty horrible practices. Now it doesn't alleviate what happened in their past. That doesn't alleviate them from that.
And that's a separate conversation.
Or responsibility.
That's a separate conversation as far as like Colin Kaepernick goes. If people want to have a conversation, we can go back and forth about, I guess, Nike's legitimacy as a company that operates with humane practices, separate and apart from this whole kind of Kaepernick endorsement for their campaign.
Right. I think what they recognize, and it's interesting that this happened on Labor Day, of course, too, because just last week there was a pretty important decision that was handed down in regards to the grievance that Colin Kaepernick had filed against the NFL and NFL owners. The case was allowed to proceed. The NFL was trying to, or they tried to file for, or they did file a summary judgment. They wanted the judge to pretty much throw out the case, but not the judge, the arbitrator. So the arbitrator did rule that no, there's enough here. There's enough meat on the bone here to actually go to trial or like to actually go to a decision on this. So that's pretty important. And like I said, I think it's not a coincidence that it did happen on Labor Day. But for me, like, Nike's on the right side of history, and I think what they're following is the little guys, because there have been smaller voices that have been advocating for Colin Kaepernick, saying that this is not about standing up against the national anthem. It's not standing up against the United States of America or the flag. It's about the mission at hand. It's about what Colin Kaepernick said at the very beginning, what this was about. So I believe that, like I said, Nike is on the right side of this now. And I don't believe it was an accident that that they didn't have him appear in a commercial for 2 years. I don't know if this was always the plan. Like, okay, like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? I have no idea when they actually made a decision. Like, okay, you know what? We're going to unveil this 30th anniversary. Just do it. Colin Kaepernick. I have no idea.
See, you are a little bit more pragmatic than I am. You are just a little bit more pragmatic than I am. I think they were laying low to figure out how they were going to approach it. I think
it is interesting that they didn't cut him, though. They didn't cut him.
I think they didn't cut him because they didn't know what direction to go as far as their bottom line, their business. I think they didn't want to make a decision because it would have looked bad either way. They would have been dealing with backlash either way.
But I think that I don't think this would have went either way. Like even if Trump had even more of an effect on what the owners were doing, because right now they're saying that there was no collusion. They just made individual choices not to sign Colin Kaepernick. But even if it was even more so like of a stir or like of a pushback on what Colin Kaepernick's trying to achieve, I still believe that Nike is big enough to withstand like negative public perception.
So, and see, that's the point.
Right.
They are big enough kind of to withstand it. So they can use Colin Kaepernick's life experience as the slogan to sell products. So at the end of the day, like, what is it? Is it another situation where they're kind of, I guess, commodifying a movement, you know what I'm saying, via co-opting somebody's struggle or a group's struggle? You know, because remember Pepsi tried to do that shit.
Oh, yeah.
Remember Pepsi tried to do that shit with the police brutality, and it failed?
Yeah, it backfired.
You know what I'm saying? People saw right through it. So, like, here's my thing. Like, if they are choosing him as the face for their Just Do It campaign, I would want them to be an extension of the person they chose to represent for that campaign. I don't want the half-ass wokeism. If that's what they're about, they should be an extension of that person. So if that's the case, they should cut ties with the NFL and stop making their products. Stop making their jersey, because Nike still makes NFL jerseys, NFL t-shirts, NFL shirts, and all that. So if they were really about that revolution, and they were really about being an extension of the person,
that might be too far, though. That might be way too far, because, all right, first of all, okay, earlier this year in March, NFL and Nike came to an extension because Nike is the sole producer of NFL merchandise. And that extension runs through 2028. So that's another 10 years. So first of all, Nike was not going to sever that tie. But then two, I don't think even at this point Colin Kaepernick is like anti-NFL. He did say that, hey, you were doing me wrong. I think there is collusion. I'm going to file this grievance. But I don't think he wants to like be like, okay, NFL needs to shut down. Everybody like needs to, protest against them.
Because it's not just about him. He recognizes that he has friends and colleagues and people that he loves. Yeah, it's still in the league.
They want the league to make better choices. I don't think they want the league to disband. You know, but on Nike, there is some more news. Like you said, you're questioning their wokeness, right? So there is some more news on what Nike is doing with Colin Kaepernick. So they also it's been revealed through Colin Kaepernick's attorney. His name is Mark Garagos. He revealed that Nike also reached a multi-year agreement with Colin Kaepernick, and according to a source with knowledge of the deal, it's quote top of the market deal for an NFL player. Also, Nike will create a apparel line for Kaepernick and contribute to his Know Your Rights charity. So these are all pretty significant moves. Colin Kaepernick did not have an apparel agreement before this. And to pay somebody that is not currently employed by the NFL and hasn't been so for 2 years,
that's unprecedented.
A top market deal.
That's unprecedented. That's not very commonplace.
Yeah, that's pretty notable, and again too to contribute to his Know Your Rights charity as well. Like I said, I believe in these moves that Nike is making. Again, their name is gonna always be synonymous with the sweatshops and the slave labor and all these, I guess all these troubling things that were found in their past. I don't know that the same thing is true for them now. Like I said, I have seen that they have made significant improvements, and they've kind of distanced themselves from operating in like these factories where they have no control. Like, because they weren't even making shoes. They were like just sourcing that out. Like, hey, do what you do. We want it low. We want it cheap. Bam. Give it to us. They weren't even concerned with what was going on over there. So, of course, public pressure brought that to the forefront, and they had to make choices. So, again, this is a big corporation, multinational corporation, big business, billion-dollar company. So, again, I don't know how truly woke they are. I don't know if they're just responding to what's going on in society right now, whatever. But I like these moves. I definitely like these moves that they're making.
So it's like almost the same thing as when corporations kind of had to start advertising using black faces. Yeah. Even though it was about capitalism in a sense, even though it was about, appealing to a certain market, there is a certain level of, I guess, concession that had to be made to even do that. You see what I'm saying? True. To even have a black face, like, I guess, associated with their product. So it's, you know what I'm saying? Even though it's kind of being dragged kicking and screaming, it's still some sort of step. Right. It's still some sort of,
either you're gonna be responding to trends or you're gonna set trends,
and it depends on what trends you are responding to.
Exactly.
But but like you said, they were they're a well-sustained, powerful company that can withstand a storm.
Right.
And I think they calculated like any kind of negative response people would have. Like, they understand that outrage is very short-lived.
Oh, yes.
Outrage is very short-lived.
It's a short flame, man.
And kind of people go back to their regular habits and regular activities fairly quickly.
Yeah.
They, I'm sure they were shaking in their Nike boots after that Keurig Rage Fest. You remember that shit?
Right, I do.
So yeah, and if people are really about that life though, they would cut up all their Converse too, because Nike owns that. Nike owns that other brand called Hurley, which is shorts that are appealed to like white men or something like that, just a style.
Yeah,
they better cut them up too, because Nike owns that too. So it's not just things with the swoosh.
Yeah, but that's what's getting all the attention. So like you just kind of pointed to it. There have been this windfall of negative reaction towards this. I can't determine how vast it is. Yeah, I don't know how vast the negative attention is, but there have been people on social media posting different things. Oh, I can't believe Nike. I'm gonna get rid of my Nike stuff and I'm gonna do this. There was a country musician, John Rich, who I don't think I've ever even heard his name. I don't think so. But he's notable for that.
Look at you can't.
No. Save a horse, ride a cowboy. Is that it?
I don't know.
Yeah, you heard the song though.
What? You gotta sing some of it.
That's all I know.
No, you gotta sing some. You gotta sing it like you sing it.
Save a horse, ride a cowboy.
Oh yeah,
like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Is that what it is?
See, that's why you had to sing.
Now
I know.
All right. Now I know. All right.
Because you put that twang in there. You put that twang in there. That's why I know. Now I know, man.
Yeah, but so he tweeted out some things. Of course, he was opposing this decision by Nike. So first he tweeted something saying, hey Nike, I guess you made Kaepernick your new face of the brand because you love the way his socks look with your shoes. Reebok, here we come. So the thing he's talking about with the socks is, and we've noted it before, there was at one time in a game Colin Kaepernick had socks on that depicted police officers as pigs. And you know what? Like we were critical of that because I'm not gonna paint all police officers as doing the wrong thing and not actually doing their job with integrity and actually protecting civilians. I'm not gonna paint everybody in the same. I'm not gonna put them all in the same box. So I don't agree with that decision that he made with wearing those socks. But the whole thing about Reebok, here we come. Reebok, what is this? The 80s?
Pumps.
Is this the early 90s?
D Brown. D Brown. Pumps.
Look, Reebok is not even a top 10 sports brand anymore. I don't believe. Like, there's Nike that's at the top. There's Adidas. There's Under Armour. Like, there's Reebok. So, they have been failing and falling for years.
But shoot, New Balance still is doing their thing, man.
So all of these disaffected Nike supporters are going to bring back Reebok.
Yo, man, that could be the next thing. That could be the next hashtag.
Okay.
That could be the next hashtag. Reebok Revolution.
Yo, it's funny as
Reebok.
Reebok.
Like Reebok.
Yeah, that's the campaign.
That's the campaign.
Reebok.
Reebok.
But anyway, he also said
Nah, dog. L Train, dog. Look at
it. British Knights Reebok. That's taking it back, man.
Yo, I had me a pair of BKs, dog.
No doubt.
I had me a pair of BKs.
It was hot back in the day, but
hot.
2018 Reebok is no longer hot. But anyway, let's continue with John Rich. He also said on Twitter, our sound man just cut the Nike swoosh off his socks. Former Marine, get ready Nike, multiply that by the millions. And he included a picture, and this is the picture. Sound man cut his.
Yo, what's up with these mugs destroying their own
stuff,
man.
Yeah, I don't. And then, so this is another one. This is a video somebody made burning his Nike kicks now, right? Now, what the most foolish thing that I see about this video, though,
you know how many other sneakers there are?
You're burning your grass.
He burned his own grass, dog.
How foolish can you be? Like, okay,
you're gonna go
fine.
ahead,
you don't want your Nikes no more. You want to get rid of them. Cool. Hey, you can drop them in the trash can. You can make a statement by burning them.
Buy them our shoes.
It to
we
Twitter.
stand with people who kneel for the national anthem.
Yard, man, you idiot, man. And I like how that's that same picture. But I like how these fools think that like their actions are going to somehow sway Nike. Like, you already paid for your merchandise. What are you doing to Nike? Like, what?
You know, it reminds me of that story we did a few weeks ago about the dude who ran the bar. He owns the bar.
Exactly. Yeah, in Florida.
Yeah,
and he cut his NFL ticket
off, and he was withholding his $5,000,
and that was gonna make a severe dent.
Yes,
man. I think I saw.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
I think I saw today that I think the stock price of Nike was down 3%, maybe, or 3 points. Now I don't know. I don't even claim to know a lot about the stock market, but I will say that Nike ain't scared. I ain't scared for them. They're gonna be just fine. And that number one athletic apparel brand status that they have, they gonna keep that. They gonna keep that,
because even if it's negative attention, as we've always said,
that's right.
Sometimes negative attention is still attention. It's still good attention.
But
my problem is, it's like, it looks like they are using Nike, or going through Nike, to show their, I guess, lack of appreciation for Colin Kaepernick and what he stands for, because that's what it's really about. Because they're not boycotting Nike per se; they're boycotting Colin Kaepernick through Nike, because most of these people have had nothing negative to say about Nike before, so why now? Because it's about Colin Kaepernick. But has Colin Kaepernick done anything to anybody? Has he promoted hate towards anybody? Division?
That's what they take it to mean, even though he's clearly explained himself. But they ignore those words. They ignore those words. Again, like I said, he clearly stated what it's about. Other NFL players that have come after him have stated to the media, this is what it's about. This is what about. Malcolm Jenkins, for the Super Bowl winning Philadelphia Eagles, he famously held up cards, like cue cards, and he refused to take any questions from the media and say, you're not listening. This is what it's about. And he had it on the cards, like exactly what the whole kneeling is about. And it's not about the flag, and it's not about the national anthem. But again, people don't care. They just want you to shut up, because I think it's because, and I think we both think, it's like self-reflection. And even if it's not just about pure self, it's about your country.
But like people see themselves
through their country. Right. That's hard. Like introspection, that's hard. That's not possible for a lot of people, because again, it would force you to deal with very uncomfortable truths that we know a lot of people don't want to go. They don't want to go there.
We know that's what it is, because a lot of these people are either one, Trump supporters, and or watch Fox News. So they have made themselves kind of mantles for the acceptance of disgusting ideas and bigotry. You see what I'm saying? So it's just it amazes me that these people support disgusting platforms every day. Yeah. They support disgusting displays of bigotry, but Colin Kaepernick, now that's a bridge too far.
Man,
that's a bridge too far. We can't take that.
It's amazing, man.
Disrespecting the flag, even though it's not. We support people who disrespect human beings and people every day. We care more about a flag, so therefore we don't like Colin Kaepernick. He's just taking it too far. Like, get the fuck out of here, man. These people just, I don't know if they can be reformed, man.
No, I probably can't. I'll put it at 99%. No, they won't. Anything's possible, but I'll put at 90%, 99% that they won't. I've said it before, say again, Colin Kaepernick is a patriot because he does deal with uncomfortable truths. He does deal with what's going on in this country, what's like actually going on in this country, and he's actually trying to bring attention and awareness to these issues so that we can reform ourselves as a society. That's what I think a patriot would do for their country. That's what I think. So not just blindly support all of its actions just because we are the USA.
Oh, are you saying that kind of this whole campaign of getting out of political correctness may have been a sham?
Oh, yeah.
Because if that is really the case and that is really the campaign, and if that's the kind of, I guess, concept as far as speech goes that people want to use in America, then why aren't they applying that to this situation? Because it seems as if Colin Kaepernick must be politically correct in how he chooses to be an activist. And so people being uncomfortable about this kind of, to me, exposes that whole sham. Exposes that whole sham of political correctness, because as soon as somebody that they disagree with is politically incorrect with how they approach their agenda or their platform, all of a sudden we must cater to their feelings.
It's amazing, man.
It's amazing.
There was a clip that we saw from TYT, and they were speaking to Trump supporters. It must have been at some event Trump was at, maybe. And some of these responses about Colin Kaepernick and about the NFL players kneeling were amazing. They were ignorant, and I think there was at least one of them saying, "Hey, this is America. He can do what he wants to do. I support protesting, but not in that venue. You got to do it a different way or something like that. You're on the NFL's time." And there was one guy that said
there was said something about, if we don't have cops, this will be a third world country or something. This will be Baghdad. This will be Iraq. This will be pandemonium. I was like, what? Nobody's talking about getting rid of cops. If we don't have cops, the country will be like go crazy. He's like, this is Baghdad. This is Iraq. This is pandemonium. Then whoever it was, his Rebel HQ or something.
Yeah. It was
what was her?
Emily.
It was.
I can't remember her last name. You definitely seen.
She brought up something about statistics.
This dude said statistics.
Semanistics. I was like,
because she was talking about the rate in which black people are killed by police officers in comparison to white people, and how the statistics, the rate is significantly higher. And he's like, I ain't see that. I've never been assaulted by a police officer.
Every time I've been in a situation, I've been treated with respect, and I ain't innocent. Maybe he said something like, I'm no angel. Exactly. So I've been in trouble, and I ain't experienced none of that. So, and she was trying to reason with him, wait a second, I can anecdotally say the same thing.
Right,
she was saying, anecdotally, I can say the same thing. Nobody experiences everything, but we all experience a little bit of things.
Yeah.
And
you look at the raw data. You look at what people are experiencing all over the country. These are FBI statistics, right? So if you look at them, you can see that, there's a troubling number right here. Let's deal with it. Nope. Statistics. Statistics.
It must sound straight like Uncle Ruckus, dog.
Oh, man, it was hilarious. But, okay, so who would have a response to this, too? And it would be our president, Donald Trump. So he did have a response, and he had an interview with the Daily Caller. And he said, quote, "I think it's a terrible message that they're sending, and the purpose of them doing it, maybe there's a reason for them doing it. But I think as far as sending a message, I think it's a terrible message and a message that shouldn't be sent. There's no reason for it." So that's not, that's not surprising for him to say. Now, here's the part. This is kind of surprising to me. It doesn't really jive with his whole narrative that he has been espousing for months now. So he continued, "As much as I disagree with the Colin Kaepernick endorsement, in another way, I wouldn't have done it. In another way, it is what this country is all about, that you have certain freedoms to do things that other people think you shouldn't do. But I personally am on a different side of it." Word? You have freedoms to do what you want to do in this country, but just personally, you're on another side of it. It's not like you've been trying to force NFL owners to fire their employees over this, right?
So again, if it was just him personally being not for it, I'm actually okay with that.
No doubt.
Because like a president or a representative should kind of be above his own kind of, I guess, personal leanings, his own personal beliefs, because he is a representative for a large group of people that may not believe the things he believes. So yeah, I'm okay with him personally believing that. But see, like you said, he has already stepped in it.
Right.
Well, no, he's jumped in it.
He jumped right.
He's jumped in it and swimming in it, like in the deep end. So it's like if he wouldn't have inserted himself, then I can accept that. But I can't accept that
same statement. That if he made the same statement without all the shenanigans that he's been doing, we've been
like sons of bitches, like they should be fired, you should kick him out, like inserting himself as a representative of the government.
We would have been like, cool.
He's
personally
against it, but you know, I'm not going to get involved because I am the head figure up in here.
Yeah, that's not what he did. That's why these statements now are very ironic.
He's like playing backwards. Like, what are you doing, dog? I'm like, you're playing backwards. If you would have come out and made a statement like that, like when this kneeling thing popped off, I'd been like, damn, man, this Joker is being mature as fuck.
Exactly.
I'd been like, oh, I'd have been like, damn,
that's
bro.
not Trump-like.
I was like, maybe he's like turning over a new leaf. Maybe it's gone from orange to something else.
But this is like a year later.
It's
like a year later, man.
When it doesn't mean anything, and after he's like already like been, you know, issuing rage tweets,
no doubt,
and a rhetoric that would indicate that he hates NFL players and hates black people.
Like you said, that tweet means nothing at this point. It's very interesting now.
Again, that's his advisor's fault. Like I said, I was like, I ain't gonna blame Trump anymore, man. I'm not because it's like he has advisors, and that seems like something that his advisors would issue. You know what I'm saying? That seems like something like, hey, Trump, say this, say this, because see, Nike is too fucking big, man. You know what I'm saying? I can see Steve Miller.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I can see, you know, Steve Miller. Like, hey, Trump, look, man, Nike is too big. You're not going to win this one. You're just going to look bad. You know what I'm saying? Like he would fail. He would look real bad. You know what I'm saying? So it just seemed as if he's just late to the party.
They could have said the same thing about the NFL. The NFL is too big. You ain't gonna win this. You could have said that.
He could have said that, but see, it's like under a different context. Like the Nike is not like, I guess they're in a different position than the NFL was. Like they don't have any kind of ceremony honoring the flag, so there's nothing to kind of like punch at. There's really nothing to punch at other than Colin Kaepernick.
Do you think that? Well, do you think if President Trump didn't make this such a spectacle, do you think the NFL would have came up with that new policy mandating? I don't think so either.
No, I don't think so either. I definitely don't think so. You would have saw kind of more people if it was the other way around. If it was even a prominent member of the opposition party, not even a president, like let's say like Hillary Clinton, but even a prominent member of the opposition party, if they did anything that was 10%, they included themselves in a way that was 10% of I guess the amount of Trump, how Trump imposed himself on the situation. They be talking about government tyranny. Government tyranny, don't tread on us.
All right, so let's go to something that is connected to this issue. Not so much specifically Colin Kaepernick, but the whole issue of kneeling. So another day, another racist gets exposed. This time it is a woman by the name of Carla Maloney, who is a Republican, or was a Republican county official in Beaver County, Pennsylvania. Recently, she has resigned after it was revealed that she had written some things on Facebook referring to kneeling NFL players as baboons. So, Carla Maloney, she was, like I said, a Republican county official in Beaver County, Pennsylvania. She was the Republican committee. She was the secretary of the Republican committee of Beaver County. So let's get to actually what she wrote. She talked about being tired of ignorant black people telling her how that, how she should believe, like what she should believe in. She talked about
looting.
Yeah, she talked about looting. She talked about like, if you're not happy here in America, you can go to Africa. She said these things. We've seen these things before on social media, but she just decided to include herself into it. Here's where I guess like the most offensive remarks were, and this was made after, I believe this was made after she had seen, and let me take that. I believe this was made after she had seen a Pittsburgh Steelers game, and I didn't do the actual research on this, but I believe the only time that the Pittsburgh Steelers as a group stayed in
I remember that.
Yeah, I believe this was after
we covered
President Trump made his comments, right? I believe this was after the Sons of Business comments. And like pretty much every team did some kind of demonstration in some way, whether it be kneeling, staying in the tunnel, whatever. So I believe this is after she saw that. And she said, Steelers are now just as bad as the rest of the overpaid baboons. You respect your flag, country, and our national anthem. How many men and women have lost limbs or died to protect this country, and you baboons want respect. If you want respect, you need to earn it, and so far you haven't. Stop watching or go to a game and paying for overpriced food, water, and tickets. Let's see how the baboons get paid when white people stop paying their salaries. So this was over the top type racism, and just like, if you were confused about what she was actually trying to convey there and who the baboons were, it wasn't just NFL players. It was specifically black people, and she made that clear at the end when she said when she was calling for white people to stop watching the baboons. She was clear as can be.
Yeah, because like baboons wouldn't just be a reference to players, right?
No.
But
no.
It seems like one thing that's always consistent with racists is the readiness to take any situation that involves black people, and use it as an opportunity to get all their racism off their chest. Yeah. Like, even if it's just some situation they disagree with. Yeah. Because like the bigoted point she made didn't really have anything to do with specifically, like, I don't know, the kneeling. Do you see what I'm saying? Like she sees black people protesting, and like the grand wizard spirit just comes right out of her. You know what I'm saying?
She takes this opportunity to dehumanize black people. Like you said.
Right. Like she just uses opportunity to get all of her bigotry and all of her racism off her chest. But think about it. I like this though because this is a great example of like the true reason why people are disagreeing with the kneeling means. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Like, this is like an exorcism. Like the grand wizard spirit, the grand wizard demon is just like coming out of her. It's being summoned out of her. Right. And so like she is not, like, I guess, covering up her bigotry with like this very glorious and very benign patriotic language. You know what I'm saying? She's not covering hers up. You know what I'm saying? So like she's like revealing the true nature as to why she disagrees with this NFL kneeling, and it's coming out because it essentially is based on racism. Yeah, she's just making hers very plain.
I'm never surprised at this feeling from white people. I'm just not surprised at it because, and that's not to say that all white people are racist. Of course, I'm not saying that, but there are many white people that are racist. So I'm not surprised, especially in the South. I'm not surprised when you are confronted with that type of mentality. What I am surprised at is that this doesn't seem to be slowing down, where people that actually have positions out themselves as racist. Like, they feel emboldened. They feel like, I can do this publicly and like nothing's gonna be done. Like, I'm good. Even though, like I said, I have a position, I might have to resign or something like that. Mm-hmm. It's like they feel protected and they're not. It doesn't matter. Like, I know Trump, again, has emboldened this kind of attitude, this kind of mentality to actually be supported in public. I like for them to actually exhibit this kind of behavior in public and espouse these beliefs in public. But it seems like he's the only one that's getting away with it, not you suckers.
Like I said, there is no such thing as a Trump effect. The Trump effect only affects Trump. It does not cast off onto everybody else.
Nah, it doesn't.
You cannot borrow some of it.
Nah, it's just for him.
It's just for him. It's just for him. But I mean, in a Facebook post, I referred to Dak Prescott as a buck.
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
We did a story on Dak Prescott and his response, and we were kind of displeased with it.
To the kneeling, to the whole kneeling thing.
To the whole kneeling thing, he kind of fell back. Well, no, he didn't fall back. He kind of was in support of his owner.
Right, he was.
And I think that was okay, but then he kind of threw his own players under the bus. That's the part that we had a problem with. So yeah, in the Facebook post, I called him a buck, and many of you know what that's in reference to. And there was a couple of people in the comment section who had a problem with it and said it's racist, even though like it wasn't me referring to him as that, because that's how I saw him. I viewed him that way. It was because there was a lot of people view him that way, not just owners, but people in general. There's citizens that view him that way. Mm-hmm. What Maloney did, and her language actually proves the point I was trying to make as far as these NFL owners' relationships to these players kind of having the same dynamic as a slave in their owner. See, she sees these players as overpaid baboons?
Baboons.
Which means they are serviceable primates, only here to entertain. In other words, dance monkey, or you're a buck. You're here to do a job and shut up. So essentially, Maloney is proving the point I was trying to make in that Facebook post, because she is a representation of that group of people who sees players as, let's say, Laura Ingraham sees them, shut up and dribble.
Right. Same kind of mentality.
Yeah.
So you know what happened after the revelation was made? The apology. Of course the apology came. That's just expected, because when these things happen, when your words get out there, your racist mentality, your racist feelings, of course you're going to have to apologize. And like I said, she did resign, but she did offer this apology. I don't believe this wasn't a public apology, but it was made public. It was to, she wrote a letter to, who is Chip Koser, who's the chairman of the Republican Committee of Beaver County. And within the letter, she said, that she apologized for distasteful, inappropriate, insensitive social media posts. She noted that she hereby resigns from being the secretary. She says, "I know I am a better person than this. So as I step away from these public positions, I will work to show everyone who I truly am."
You already did that, yo.
You already did that.
You did. You showed everybody who you truly are. What she really means is I got to go work on rebuilding my image because I fucked up.
Exactly. But yeah, these words are going to follow you forever, because how many times have I said the internet has a long memory? It's not going anywhere. So this wasn't even that notable of a position. You know what I'm saying? Like, I believe these comments were made. Yeah, these comments were made like a year ago, almost a year ago, and they were just brought to brought out to be viewed by the public now. So I guess she thought she could get away with it for some period of time, but you didn't. So
I'm surprised like her apology didn't include like something like, I don't know what came over me. I have many black friends.
That would have been funny. Yeah, that would have been funny. But yeah, man, like I said, another day, another racist gets exposed. That's just the way of 2018 and going forward. Briefly, yeah. Andrew Gillum, who just won the Democratic nomination for governor in the state of Florida. We noted last week how his opponent in the general election, Ron DeSantis, made some comments talking about don't monkey it up by voting for Gillum. Talked about how he was articulate. You know what that means when you're talking about a black person too. That was thrown onto Barack Obama heavily throughout his 8 years. But what else? So now Andrew Gillum, he's had to deal with racist robocalls. So racist robocalls have been being placed in the state of Florida, and I believe this is coming from out of the state, from this like neo-Nazi kind of group or something like that. But in the calls, it has this like stereotypical like black dialect, and then you have jungle music in the background. So of course it's very racist. So Andrew Gillum is still, he's moving forward. He's not really spending too much time on things like this. He didn't spend too much time on the whole don't monkey it up business. He wants to address the issues. He's gonna he's going to address it, but then he's gonna move on, because that's not what's gonna win him the race.
He's just gonna say, yeah, it sucks that DeSantis would go there and his campaign would go there, but hey, that's just right up their alley. He pretty much just said, this is what they're about, but hey, this is what I'm about.
True.
Floridians want to hear about the issues. Americans want to hear about the issues, and that's what I'm here to deliver.
And I think that's the winning strategy. Right now, I think we noted on the last show too, public policy polling has him up, I think it was 5 points or 5 to 6 percentage points in their latest poll. And then there was another one by Quinnipiac. Yeah, I think it's Quinnipiac. And that was the most recent one, and he's up by 3 points on DeSantis. So also what needs to be noted too is from election day to Sunday, this was just last week, he raised, I believe, $3 million. And I believe throughout the whole period of his campaign, he only raised $2 million.
So what you're saying is the whole monkey it up thing backfired.
Oh, I think tremendously it backfired.
And the whole robocalls thing is most likely going to backfire too. But see, what is that really about though? Like what are they trying to appeal to? Are they trying to appeal to, I guess, the lower nature of some voters?
Oh, yeah.
Or are they just trying to throw Gillum off? Or is it both?
Maybe both, yeah. Maybe both. This is the South.
Yeah, I mean,
so it may be appealing to some people.
Maybe appealing to some
people.
He
would be the first black governor of the state.
He would be, and I think most of it might be them trying to throw Gillum off. You know what I'm saying? Like throw him off his game. But I was like, yeah, you. I don't think you can do that with him. No,
it ain't working. He sticks to the issues just like he should. Also, he's been appearing on many programs. He's been on MSNBC, NBC, CNN, even Fox News. And since since this whole don't monkey it up business was made public, once his words got out there and there was severe public backlash, Ron DeSantis has been missing in action. You really haven't seen him anywhere. I guess he's kind of trying to fall back a little bit.
He has to recharge.
Maybe, yeah.
He has to recharge, because after such a big fail, you got to regroup. You got to re-strategize. You got to open up the playbook and see what you can do.
Develop some new plays or something, man. Because that play ain't running.
See, based on what I've seen, but based on what his campaign, he doesn't have a lot of plays to run. He has them same old plays.
Well, see, I read that a source told Politico that DeSantis was actually expecting to face Gwen Graham, who a lot of people expected to win that race. She's a white woman, of course, and she was very notable in the state of Florida. So they thought they were going to go up against a woman, and they thought that they were going to, I guess, field claims of being sexist. And they were prepared for that, but they were not prepared for the criticism of like being racist. They weren't prepared for that. So
they already had developed this nice thick playbook.
Yes.
Oh,
shiny.
So it's like when a football team is in a trap game where they look ahead to a highly ranked opponent, and they kind of overlook this team.
That's right.
So they already had studying the playbook for this woman, this candidate they thought was going to win. And then your boy Gillum just comes up.
Exactly. This was gonna be like Tecmo Bowl back in the day. I pick your play.
I pick your play. Oh yeah, that's right. You pick if you pick the same play, it's done.
It's done.
It's
like
done.
Negative 8-yard loss, man. But yeah, they just weren't prepared for Gillum, and
yeah, that's why I used to hold the damn controller over here. No, I'm like, man, I'm not. Nah.
See, you young people don't understand that. Yeah, see that was in the 80s right there. But like I said, yeah, Andrew Gillum, he's on a winning path, and I hope he gets it done, man. So we're gonna keep following this campaign. Also, yeah, we didn't know that at the beginning of the show, but yeah, today is primary day, and it's for
right.
Vermont. No, not Vermont, Delaware and Massachusetts. So we have been following that the one race, I believe is it the 4th district? Is it the 4th district? I can't remember.
You talked about it at the end of the show.
Yeah, Ayanna Presley and Representative Capuano. So that's definitely going to be something to see what those results are. I haven't looked at anything. I think Mike might be looking it up now. But anyway, so let's move on. All right, let's go to Kelly Coltrane.
Oh man,
yeah,
this young made me mad, dog.
Yeah, man, me too, man. All right. All right, you know what? Let me. Here we go. All right. A lawsuit has been filed by the family of a woman who died over a year ago after spending about 4 days in a Nevada jail. 27-year-old Kelly Coltrane experienced seizures while locked up due to withdrawal. Officers were informed of her condition but ignored her request to go to the hospital, disregarding regular procedure. So Coltrane was living in Texas but went to Nevada for a family reunion. After the event, Coltrane was stopped for speeding near Hawthorne, Nevada. She had prior traffic violations in Clark County that she hadn't taken care of, so the officer arrested her and put her into Mineral County Jail. So Coltrane informed Sergeant Jim Holland about her medical history, stating that she was dependent on medication and had a history of seizures when she was going through withdrawal. Sergeant Holland ignored a jail policy that requires inmates with a history of seizures to be cleared by a doctor before being held at the jail. So about 4 hours into being incarcerated, Coltrane told the night deputy, Deputy Ray Golsinski, that she needed to go to the hospital, but according to an investigation report, he told Coltrane, quote, "Unfortunately, since you're the detoxification process, I'm not going to take you over to the hospital right now just to get your fix. That's not the way detention works, unfortunately. You are incarcerated with us, so you don't get to go to the hospital when you want. When we feel that your life is at risk, then you will go."
That's control right there, man. They ain't got nothing to do. That's nothing to do with policy or looking at this situation objectively, or I guess looking at this person for what they are particularly going through.
Yeah.
That to me,
it's not even seeing a human life.
That's not even seeing it. That's just some control stuff. It's like you're seeing this person that's trying to get over automatically, and they probably do see that, and so they're in an environment where they're constantly seeing people try to get over, and so they may lose their ability to be objective in each particular situation. So they come off as being very callous and cold.
I can understand that in some regards, like. Like if somebody's asking to go to the bathroom too much, even though maybe in the jail cell there is a toilet, I'm not sure.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, usually there is. So maybe they wouldn't have to. If it is some other, like, maybe it's frivolous request or something like that. I need to make a call. I mean, I need to do this, or I need to ask you a bunch of questions. Maybe sure you have this kind of callous nature because you see it so often, and of course there are some inmates, people that are being held that are trying to get over on you in some way. But when it has to do with like a medical condition, when it has to do with life or death, you have to err on the side of caution.
And they recognized it was a medical condition. It wasn't just she was making up symptoms. She wasn't making up her condition.
Right.
That would have been different. You know, look at a situation and look at an inmate skeptically when you don't believe them. But this is a clear situation, just judging from the pictures and just judging from their own admission that she was sick and she was going through withdrawal. And And quite frankly, they were not capable of dealing with somebody who was going through that. It's not like they made it sound like she was trying to just worm her way out of jail. It's not like she wouldn't have gone back to jail once her treatment was over, once that period of time was over. It's not like she would get out of jail because of that. So that doesn't make sense. To me, that doesn't make sense.
So let's go through the rest of her period there. So over the next 3 days, she didn't eat or drink too much. She nibbled on a little bit when the deputies were trying to make her eat or asking her to eat. She nibbled on a few things, but she didn't really eat too much. She began vomiting and trembling on the 3rd day. Sergeant Holland brought her some new jail clothing because she had thrown up on herself and on the floor. He also brought her a mop so that she could clean up her vomit from the floor. So she sat on her bed while cleaning, obviously because she was too weak to do so. So Sergeant Holland even came back and pointed out spots that she had missed. So then she has to take the mop again while still sitting on the bed, and she's wiping it off, like trying to clean it up. So then he takes the mop and he leaves. And that was the last time that anybody saw her alive. Now, her jail cell was capable of being video monitored. There was a camera inside the jail cell. But so that happened around like 5:30 p.m. where Sergeant Holland actually, that was the last interaction. By, I think it was 6:30 or approximately 6:30 p.m., she completely stopped moving. It wasn't until about 12:30 a.m. that Deputy Ray Golsinski found her unresponsive and cold. He went into the jail cell and he kind of kicked at her foot. Wow. And then he touched her and she was cold. And then he was seeming like he was frantic and alerted somebody else. And, they went in to, she had no pulse. But the paramedics were not called. It wasn't until I think it was 5:48 a.m. that a Washoe County forensic technician arrived to begin the investigation. Again, she was found cold and unresponsive at about 12:30 a.m. It wasn't some 5 hours later that somebody actually came to begin the investigation. So it was determined that she did have heroin in her system, and they ruled it accidental. And it was just, the Washoe County medical examiner labeled Coltrane's death accidental, caused by, quote, complications of drug use. Now, this was all unavoidable. Well, this is all avoidable, again, because at the beginning of this whole story, I told you that they ignored her request to go to the hospital, and they disregarded regular procedure. They disregarded a jail policy, their jail policy, that states that inmates with a history of seizures have to be cleared by a doctor before being jailed.
But see, they didn't care, though. So, like, the level of intentional neglect and kind of purposeful indifference to human life that occurred in this situation, man, is obvious. Because that's what it is, man. And what kind of person sees someone throw up as a result of sickness and then hands them a mop and then tells them to clean it up themselves? You know what I'm saying? That's antagonistic. That's callous. That's sadistic, man. Those are the type of people that don't need to be working in those situations.
Those are the type
in
of
positions of authority.
No, those are the type of people, not only positions of authority, those are the type of people that should not be like directly
responsible.
Well, directly responsible, and they should really not be working with people. Like maybe they should have employees. I mean, like colleagues that they work with. But I'm talking about actually dealing with the public or something like that. No, those are people that should not have jobs like that whatsoever, because they lack the empathy to actually make decisions. Those decisions they make, like you said, are callous. They don't see the appreciation in human life. All they see is something that needs to be handled. And I'm not going to be bothered with actually taking this inmate to the hospital to make sure that she's okay. Nah, if I see that she's like turning blue or something, then I might take her.
I don't even like the way the county reacted to it. You know what I'm saying? Because like, I think in one of the letters, like either the lawyer for the county was, you know, talking about how, oh, it's just a small rural town with, you know, limited resources. I was like, I don't think this was an issue as far as resources go. This wasn't a resource issue. This was an issue of neglect.
Yeah,
like,
because they didn't have somebody at the jail that was prepared to handle like any medical concerns. But there was a hospital, I believe, across the street. Yeah. So they could have easily took her to the hospital to make sure that she was okay. Yeah. So again, like you said, this isn't like, oh, we couldn't handle her being in the jail. Like, we were incapable of actually saving her life. No, you could have.
How much training does a person need to, you know, recognize human suffering? How much training do they really need? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, how much training do you need to recognize when another human being is suffering in your presence? I don't think there's a lot of training that needs to go on in regard to that.
How much training is there? Well, how much training is necessary to follow procedure?
See, that's the thing. Like, the county's lawyer said that there needs to be an internal investigation to make sure, you know, to review the jail's policies. But see, when you say that, you're making it sound like just a training issue.
Yeah,
right? You're making it sound like just like a training issue and not an issue where people were ignoring the suffering of another human being. You know what I'm saying? But if you're going to look at it from a policy standpoint, and an investigation did take place and determined that the jail violated its own policies. But to me, that doesn't just point to them being horrible employees. That points to them being horrible human beings. No doubt.
Because, like, through this lawsuit that's being filed by the family of Coltrane, of course, they are seeking some monetary award. Oh, I won't say award, but some monetary judgment in their favor because of the death of their family member. But also, what they are looking for is a change of or some updated procedures from the sheriff, whose name is Randy Adams. He's the Mineral County Sheriff. So he's not talking about this. He referred any questions to his lawyer, but he did say that the jail is in the process of updating their policies. Now, again,
we're talking about policies.
Exactly. Two things. Again, this has been over a year now. This happened in July, was it? I believe it was July. Yes, it was in July. So this is over a year ago. You still haven't updated policies? And two, what policies do you need to update when there was already one on the books telling you that you need to clear with the doctor that this inmate is okay to be jailed?
You
don't need anything else.
And then you shouldn't even need a policy to do anything humane in the first place. You know what I'm saying?
You just need to be a human. So like you said, there was an investigation. The Lyon County District Attorney, whose name is Stephen Rye, he reviewed this for possible criminal charges. And what he found was that there was no evidence that the two jailers acted maliciously.
And so he recommended not filing charges against the deputies, right?
That's correct. No charges.
What were we just talking about last week about how difficult it was to hold law enforcement accountable?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because there are kind of
so many steps,
multiple levels you have to get through, which is just charges, then grand jury, then the trial, then the sentencing, and there may be a fifth. Maybe may have a lenient judge that may step in.
That's
so
true.
At every step, there may be something that's holding up justice. And in this case,
it was the DA.
The DA reviewed the case, and this was a DA from another county because they brought in an outside district attorney, so there wouldn't be a conflict of interest. And this district attorney said that there was nothing about the case that I guess indicated some sort of maliciousness.
So how can you explain that they disregarded the jail policy?
So
how can you explain that if it wasn't them acting maliciously?
It's a willful.
Willful.
He said willful and malicious.
Still, their actions killed a woman. Okay, this woman just had some tickets that she hadn't taken care of. It wasn't like she was guilty of like harming somebody else. She had some tickets that she hadn't taken care of. So she's in jail, and she was killed by the ineptitude of 2 jailers.
Okay, and like we said before, the jail was proven to have what? Violated their own policy.
So should there not be some...
Exactly. So if the jail was proven to have violated its own policy, wouldn't those acts be considered willful and malicious enough to file the charges? It seems like the lack of human decency flows upwards too.
One of the jailers who we mentioned, Sergeant Jim Holland, he is no longer with Mineral County. He took an early retirement. But he was like, I believe they bought out or they bought like a year of his service so that his pension actually increased, rather than like if he would have just, retired right there on the spot, his pension would have been less. But they allowed him to get some more money.
See, that's another level right there. You just mentioned that's a 6th level. And so not only is it difficult to hold law enforcement accountable, like, where is the incentive not to behave in an abusive manner? Because you have the blue wall of silence.
That's right.
You have the, like, pretty much is no snitching. You have DAs that won't step up and prosecute because they might receive some, funds from police unions. You have juries that may be partial to law enforcement and not see fit for justice to take place. And then from a cop's, I guess, livelihood perspective, on the back end, there's not a threat that they may lose their pension. So not only do they receive preferential treatment as far as the justice system, they receive preferential treatment as far as like their benefits go. Like, you still get them. Like, where's the incentive to not do anything abusive when you know good and well you're gonna still get your pension, even if let's say the department takes disciplinary action and let's say lets you go or something, but you still got your pension, so your livelihood is still intact, so you're not really losing anything.
It's a sad situation, man. And like I said, this is a life that didn't need to be ended. All you had to do was simply take the woman to the hospital, possibly get her medication, whatever, and she would have still been around today. Yeah,
nobody should, be sentenced to death because they're a bad driver.
Even if like, she didn't take care of her tickets, right? I don't even know what the tickets were. I mean, like, I don't know how many tickets there were. Obviously, there were traffic violations.
She probably didn't deal with them because she had the drug addiction. It's probably connected to it.
Maybe she just wanted, because she didn't live in the state. Maybe she just wanted to be like, I don't live in the state. I'm not taking care of it. Think the worst of her. Like, if that's the worst you can think of her, cool. But that's not a death sentence. That doesn't call for a death sentence. No criminal charges. All right. Let's do this DOTD real quick right here. It was only a matter of time before President Donald Trump appeared on LTMB's Dummy of the Day. It was really only a matter of time. It's actually interesting and amazing that we haven't featured him on this segment before.
Yeah, but see, that would be too easy. It's too easy. Because that's right. Because like, he's guilty of being the dummy of the day like 10 times a day.
Yeah, multiple.
You know what I'm saying? If we did a dummy of the day, but like actually if we did like a dummy of the hour,
right?
Like throughout the day, like he would pretty much be the top candidate. Yeah. So it would be just it would be too resource intensive.
We have too much information, right? Like, too much material.
Oh, man.
All right, but we have to talk about this. All right, so last week on, I believe it was Thursday, at a rally in Evansville, Indiana, Trump talked about Medicare. And Trump said that Democrats want to raid Medicare while Republicans I guess, want to preserve it and protect it. So here's a short clip with his words.
And they want to raid Medicare to pay for socialism. Somehow I don't see Indiana being the next Venezuela. I just don't see it. Right?
There we go again with that Venezuela bullshit.
Yo,
But
Medicare. Medicare. What is Medicare? Medicare is it's a health program, right?
health program funded by. Who is it funded by, Will?
I think it's funded by taxpayers. Is that right?
I think you might be right.
Yeah, I think I'm on to something.
I think you might be onto something, sir.
And so Medicare is for.
So basically, he was saying like raise socialism to pay for socialism. Literally.
That's what's crazy. Like we're not gonna become a socialist country, but I'm gonna protect a socialist program. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Okay, all right though. See, we're used to Trump not ever making sense, so we become accustomed to it. So sometimes we may not recognize coded language when we hear it. You see what I'm saying? Because it's such a weird.
Break it down.
It's such a weird assertion that you have to think it's coded language, because you got to see where the conversation, not just the conversation, just where the approval is shifting to in the marketplace of political ideas I guess in regard to socialism-ish policies. Mm-hmm. Like, what are the polls showing us, Will?
about what?
Like
about
things
what in particular?
Like universal health care.
Oh, the polls are showing us that it's very supported across the board. Actually, I mean, like, Republicans are actually the support for universal health care is increasing.
Okay, then. So,
and Medicare has always been a very popular
They know
program.
they can't win that conversation. So what better way to kind of demonize this socialism-ish type policy? Just what better way than to attack it in the classic manner? I'm sorry. To me, what I heard was Democrats want to shift money and status away from you and give it to others. That's what I heard. In other words, Democrats want to raid your socialism and pay for theirs.
Right.
That's what that was about. Because it doesn't make sense. And again, we're used to Trump not making sense. But here, there's definitely something behind it. And his supporters are gullible enough to believe that they're not going to benefit from universal health care, and they're not a part of there.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
What he was talking about. Well, what I think he was talking about. He was, you see what I'm saying? He was talking about they want to take from you and benefit everybody. And taking into account that they're so stupid that they don't realize that they are a part of everybody.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
Like, nothing's going to be taken from Medicare because, like, again, Medicare is a benefit for people that are 65 years or older, or people that have been getting Social Security disability benefits for at least 2 years. So those could be people that are younger than 65 years old. But what I guess, like, what the momentum is telling us, or what the momentum is about, like in regards to universal healthcare, Medicare for all, is that, like, we don't want it just to be about this select group of people. We want it to be about, like, all people to have insurance.
See again, like, how are the Republicans and how are conservatives going to fight against that when progressives, at least the progressive wing of the Democratic Party, is pushing an agenda that's going to benefit everybody and not just people who vote for them? How do you fight against that? You can't fight. You lie.
You lie.
Yes. And I think here's where that conversation about race and economic entitlement converge. You know what I'm saying? Because we have Trump and Republicans still trying to tap into that inner grand wizard spirit of white America.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, because, they emphasize to mainly white Americans that they're entitled to receive preferential treatment, like via government over those other people. The problem with that progressives have is that, the problem that they have with progressives is that those programs are designed for everyone. That's the problems that Republicans have. Those programs are designed to everyone. So they have to kind of go back to their old, I guess, Southern strategy playbook.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And try to appeal to who is mainly their base, try to appeal to their sense of entitlement. You know what I'm saying? Hey, if their agenda succeed, that means everybody is kind of going to be on the same level. We don't want that because y'all are better. Remember, y'all are better than those other people. You know what I'm saying?
So that wasn't the only lie that President Trump stated on that platform that night, though. He also said, "This is I have to quote him here." He said, quote, "Republicans stand for protecting Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid and strengthening the safety net for truly needy Americans." There's so many lies in that statement that it's unbelievable. It's miraculous that I guess by now it's not really miraculous because they never call him on it, like his supporters. But I don't know if they don't know the details or if they don't want to know the details or what have you, but they're comfortable being lied to. So in June, the House GOP budget plan called for cutting Social Security by about $4 billion over 10 years. So that was a lie. Now we're going to get to the White House budget that was just unveiled. I believe this was in February. That proposal included $554 billion in cuts to Medicare over 10 years, $250 billion of cuts in Medicaid over 10 years, and over $213 billion in cuts to the SNAP program, food stamps.
Okay, so what are you saying all that for? What point are you trying to make? Are you trying to say that the real culprits to rating certain beneficial government programs, are you saying that that activity and that agenda is, I guess, more over on the Republican side?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Right.
Definitely so. And that's not to say that the Democrats are squeaky clean here and they don't cut certain programs or they don't capitulate and actually meet Republicans in the middle or it's not actually the middle.
Yeah, no, right.
It's center right that they kind of meet them over. But the words that Trump spoke were just profound lies. They were just blatant lies. His own White House has proposed cuts to these social programs, to these socialist programs, to Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP, Social Security, all of them. So Republicans, by and large, and this is not just about Donald Trump, because this has been the mission for Republicans since before Donald Trump came along.
Before Donald Trump came along, I think it's important to mention that.
And another thing, too, about... I have to note this, too, about the White House budget proposal back in February as well. It also proposed a 13.5% cut to the Department of Education, which is something, that's not what Trump talked about on that stage that night. But I think it's just, it's something to note, especially when you have multiple states across the country where teachers are striking, where you see the conditions of some of these schools because they are severely underfunded, but Trump wants to cut Department of Education spending. Okay. All right. But he's for the little guy. He's for that little guy in middle America and all of that, right?
But see, I think that connects to who his Department of Education or the Secretary of Education is. Him cutting funds to education. So they're trying to set a situation up where they're trying to funnel people to these private institutions.
Right. I agree. All right. Where else do we want to go? You know what? So since we're talking about Trump here, we definitely have to talk about a tweet that he sent out just recently.
Oh, God.
Definitely have to talk about that. So this was just yesterday, midday, where President Donald Trump said on Twitter, 2 long-running Obama-era investigations of 2 very popular Republican congressmen were brought to a well-publicized charge just ahead of the midterms by the Jeff Sessions Justice Department. 2 easy wins now in doubt because there is not enough time. Good job, Jeff. So those 2 Republicans that he's talking about one, Representative Chris Collins in New York. And he's talking about, what was that dude's name? Representative Duncan Hunter,
yes,
in California. So they were charged with different things. With Chris Collins, it was the insider trading,
yeah.
And with the case of Hunter, it was
campaign fund fraud, or campaign finance fraud.
Yeah, he was spending
money,
buckets of money on personal expenses, using those campaign funds. Him and his wife were actually charged. So the only way to analyze what President Trump is saying in this tweet is that Jeff Sessions, who is the Attorney General, should not have, I guess, signed off, because I guess it's all about Jeff Sessions. He's the only person at the DOJ.
Jeff Sessions is like a dictator.
Yes.
That Jeff Sessions everybody takes direct instruction from Jeff Sessions. Yeah. There's nobody just coming to work and doing their job without his direction.
And he shouldn't have signed off on the prosecution of Chris Collins and Duncan Hunter, even though they seem to be guilty.
You just hold off on indicting even though the case is there until after the midterm. I don't know, like the DOJ and the FBI we'll just hold off.
Just wait a while.
Just
man.
wait a while.
You know,
and then actually it might be worse.
Yeah,
because then they could possibly get elected and then indicted. That makes no sense.
That would make absolutely no sense. Pretty much, he's saying that Jeff, old buddy of mine, Beauregard, you should have held off because these are Republicans, and we don't want Republicans being indicted.
That's pretty much what he says. They shouldn't be indicted because their perpetrators are Republican, and it kind of will affect the balance of power.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing.
That's exactly what he said.
Again, that's absolutely amazing. Look, there's many things that we don't agree with as it concerns the DOJ and Beauregard Sessions. Mm-hmm. Many things. But when people are brought up on charges, when they are indicted for their criminal activity, does it matter to me what side of the political aisle they're on?
Yeah, and he has this idea, again, because he himself has a dictatorish type personality to him. He has an authoritarian type mindset.
Right.
He thinks that these agencies are run like a dictatorship. He thinks that Jeff Sessions is personally involved in every single investigation. People don't go in their office and then do their job every day without the direction of Jeff Sessions, and that's not the case. They just present to him what they have, and he says, damn, that's a lot of damn evidence.
Exactly.
All right.
They work without him.
They work without him, is what I'm saying.
There's a lot of people that are involved in a lot of different processes that have cases that don't involve Jeff Sessions, looking over their shoulders.
They already know they have a job to do. He's just kind of he just is
the head of it. He's the head of the organization.
That doesn't mean all investigations actually are headed by him. He's not going to be the point man to every dog. You know how many? Do you know how many investigations that would mean he's responsible for? Hundreds, thousands. One individual. No, there's people who do their job every day without the direction of the Jeff Sessions. So, again, they bring him the case, the evidence, and they hey, we need you to sign off on this. He reviews it, and he's like, hey, good job, blah, blah. And it goes like that. It's not up to... Does Trump really not understand it's essentially actually not up to Jeff Sessions if the people that are under him are following the law and crossing their T's and dotting their I's and doing what they're supposed to do? It's
How irregular would it be for an attorney general to be presented with evidence. Like, here, hey, we have this criminal, we got to go get him. And Jeff Sessions is like, you know what? Let's hold off. Let's hold things until, next year.
You know what, man?
You don't think that would get out at some point? You don't think that would get out?
Exactly. And as much as I, as many disagreements as I have with Beauregard, like, he is being very, very smart here. He understands that his career could be possibly on the line. Right. He'd rather be fired by Donald Trump than to I guess be guilty of, like, I don't know, some like dereliction of duty. Like according to what his job is. Right. You see what I'm saying? Right. Like, the legacy of him being in that position. Like, do you know what kind of fire he would be under if he ignored very open and shut indictments? He is not going to throw himself under the bus for Donald
Not
Trump.
For Donald damn Trump.
He is not going to throw. He's not going to do that to himself. Because
you would be setting a precedent at that point,
he would be setting a precedent. And you never know, like that might be considered obstruction.
Oh, no, it would be obstruction.
That might be, you know what I'm saying? Like, again, so he wouldn't just be in career trouble. He might be in legal trouble, and Trump is so dumb. And again, he has an authoritarian mindset, and he thinks that there's no checks and balances, and he can just put people in position. In this case, it's Jeff Sessions, and he can just do whatever he wants. And I was like, that's just not how it works.
Nah, it doesn't work.
Because Jeff Sessions could die tomorrow and go away tomorrow, and the work would still take place.
That's why there's more than just Jeff Sessions at the DOJ.
Yes. There's that deputy attorney general too.
Well, he don't like that dude either.
Oh yeah, my bad. Damn, he wanted to get rid of dude too.
He don't like that dude.
Rosenstein.
Rosenstein. He don't like that dude either. But you know what? And while we're at it, there's another Trump tweet, and this isn't too serious. He said, and this was yesterday as well, just about 30 minutes later. He said, I see that John Kerry, the father of the now terminated Iran deal, is thinking of running for president. I should only be so lucky, although the field that is currently assembling looks good for me, or looks really good for me. Now, since then, I believe John Kerry has said that he is not going to, or he doesn't believe that he's going to run for president in 2020. And I think that's good because he is a very lame individual. I don't think he would generate any excitement or anything like that. But what's interesting is that, to me, this is a horrible look for a president of the United States. I know Donald Trump often gives us a horrible look, for a leader of the country and the free world. Which,
love that term.
I love that term. But anyway, my problem with this is that you're leading the country, right? And you're actually talking to people. This is how he communicates to his people. Do we really want people that are like braggadocious and like, look at me, I'm so much better than you? It's like he's just finger pointing on Twitter. Like, Kerry, he's a sucker. He ain't gonna do nothing. In the whole field, they're suckers too. They're nothing. But me, I'm great. I'm terrific. Nobody can beat me. I'm the best. One thing. There's one thing to be said about confidence. But in a leader, you don't want somebody that pokes fun at somebody else. Somebody that is bragging so much that they like put other people down too. And I understand that in some fields this is totally acceptable. But I'm talking about as the leader of the country. Not just is it a bad look for people that are on another side of ideology as Donald Trump, but for people that believe in the same things that he does. Is this like the example that you want being set by the president of the United States?
But I think we beyond that question by now.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I think there's a deep psychological, hole in this man's mind. You know what I'm saying? So he's very insecure. He's very self-conscious, and he projects his self, I guess, I don't know, his lack of self-esteem onto every situation and onto everybody. Right. Because he is not. He doesn't. I guess he actually doesn't value himself. He doesn't. It appears if he does, but it's all a game. You see what I'm saying? It's all a game to him. It's all a front. Because if he did value himself, he would not have to put everybody else down. You know what I'm saying? He's essentially nobody who becomes the president or wins an election would need to do that. You see what I'm saying? So you've won the highest office. You shouldn't feel the need to do that. People thought that was going to stop.
That's true.
Because
we kind of I think felt like that might stop.
That might stop, and it doesn't, because you can't fill that hole. You see what I'm saying? Because he's never felt like an actual winner. Because how he wins is with his mouth. And you know what I'm saying? He tells himself he's a winner. He tells himself that everybody else is a loser. Everybody else sucks. I'm the best. I'm the greatest at doing this. I have the best language. I have the best words. I have the best steaks. I have the best whatever. Like, if you really are the best, you wouldn't have to go around like telling everybody you are. You know what I'm saying? We're dealing with a deeply troubled individual who
damn, yo.
We are, man. We're dealing with a deeply troubled individual who does not need to be in a position of power. And again, that is, we talk about it every day, and how he thinks these positions, or what he thinks these positions mean, and how people should operate in these positions, like Jeff Sessions.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's a good example where he thinks Jeff Sessions could do anything he wants to, and he's trying to bully Jeff Sessions to do that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I agree, man. Just like, you know, I said before about people that lack the ability of introspection. I think that's what you just I think you just laid out that case about President Trump, because he always has to make the case that he is better than everybody else. All right, so let's move on. Let's see. All right, let's go to Tibbetts. Yeah.
Word.
So the father of Molly Tibbetts wrote an op-ed for the Des Moines Register recently. Molly Tibbetts was a 20-year-old student at the University of Iowa that police officials state was killed by an undocumented immigrant. So Rob Tibbetts, who's the father, in his op-ed, he urged others not to see his daughter, or not to use his daughter to spread racist propaganda. So he wrote that some who have chosen, or he wrote that there are some who, quote, have chosen to callously distort and corrupt Molly's tragic death to advance a cause she vehemently opposed. I encourage the debate on immigration. There is great merit in its reasonable outcome, but do not appropriate Molly's soul in advancing views she believed were profoundly racist.
Yeah. I tend to agree with that. It's highly disrespectful.
Yeah.
I guess to the family, when people are using the death of a family member as a prop to promote a bigoted and racist agenda.
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying? And like a bigotry towards an entire group of people too. I wouldn't want my dead family member to be used that way. And I do wish people would stop comparing this to, let's say, politicizing a school shooting. Right. You see what I'm saying? Because the target of politicizing something like that is laws. You say I'm not a specific ethnicity. You know what I mean? So the issue is not politicizing at all, because isn't that how we like deal with issues? Yeah. Like when we're talking about like I don't know, certain events that happen regarding like police brutality. How do we respond to that? We respond to it with trying to issue some political or some sort of like social agenda.
Yeah, some remedies
to it. So we politicize that. Right. The issue is not like, I guess, whether we politicize something. Like the issue should be whether we like are objectively addressing something that has an effect on society. You see what I'm saying? Like, and making changes based on the threat level to our safety and freedom. Now in regards to this is Molly Tibbetts, and I guess who is responsible for her death. If you're looking at the data, And if you know what I'm saying, if you're looking at the data
Yeah.
and you're politicizing, I guess, this certain incident, the data doesn't back up the way people are politicizing it.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? We can politicize anything and everything as long as it's objective and as long as it actually is designed to solve an actual problem. But the data, when it comes to immigrant crime and the rate at which they commit crime, does not back up how people are politicizing this.
True. I can understand for him. It's it's unfortunate to see people out there using his daughter and use this situation to advance their own agenda, like President Trump, like his White House secretary or press secretary, Sarah Huckabee Sanders. They both issue statements about her in particular. When people get killed all the time across America, there are many tragedies. There's tragedy after tragedy. But for some reason, this was the one that needed to be highlighted by the White House. It's just very, very, very interesting. But anyway, Rob Tibbetts, he continued on with his op-ed. He said, "The person who is accused of taking Molly's life is no more a reflection of the Hispanic community as white supremacists are of all white people. To suggest otherwise is a lie. Justice in my America is blind. This person will receive a fair trial as it should be. If convicted, he will face the consequences society has set. Beyond that, he deserves no more attention." If you actually take a look at his whole op-ed, this whole piece that he wrote, man, it was moving to me, because you got to think that this is a man that lost his daughter, man, 20 years old. That's a short life to live, and any parent out there understands that if you outlive your kids, man, that's something that's the worst thing in the world. So for him to actually have an objective view and to put this in its proper context and to not be swayed by I guess others that want to use her in this light, in this racist light, to I guess castigate against all brown people, all people coming into the country and want a better life for themselves. For him not to be swayed by that, even though it's possible that this person that did commit this heinous act on his daughter was somebody that was in this country illegally. Again, man, I got to give him all the credit in the world for that, man. Like I said, I suggest people do go to the Des Moines Register and take a look at his whole piece, because like I said, it is very moving. Of course he's hurting inside. Of course he wants justice. Of course he wants the person that is responsible for taking his daughter's life to face punishment. But he's not going to go overboard, you know?
He's not going to join in your propaganda.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Using the death of his daughter to further your agenda. And he's making that very clear.
Very clear.
And at the end of the day, those who are, especially, you know, if you're looking at like Sean Hannity or Tucker Carlson, anybody like, you know, those of the like.
Yep.
They're looking pretty bad right now.
They are looking really bad, man.
Especially when the family, it's not just the father, because I believe like other family members have come forward. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, and making sure they honor, you know, their family member in the proper way by standing up for her, by exposing people with an agenda. So,
like I said, man, gotta feel for him, but I love his words.
Yo, and they were necessary, man. And I know it's like the situation is not just hard, dealing with the death, and then dealing with people trying to co-opt her death. Like having, I guess, the energy, and I guess having the wherewithal and putting yourself back together to write an articulate article like that, that's tough, especially in a trying situation like that. So he had to pull himself together, you know what I'm saying, in a myriad of ways, and this last one is probably the most impressive.
So yeah, definitely head over there and watch his or read his piece. We got Ted Cruz. We got Ted Cruz.
You mean big baller Ted Cruz?
I should have grabbed that video.
We should have grabbed that video. You know what? We'll save that one. We'll put it. We'll do that one next show.
Yeah.
We'll
okay.
do that one next show.
Because.
Yeah.
We'll save that. We'll save that one. Actually, I think is that all we got? Is that all we got tonight?
Yeah, pretty much.
I think that's all. I think that's all we got for tonight. Yeah, I think that's all we got for tonight. Those are the stories that we have. Although we could talk for a moment, just a moment about.
Oh no, man!
Barbecue Becky.
Oh man,
Jennifer Schulte.
Yo, honestly, this was one of those care packages I received. You know what I'm saying? On Facebook, man. Somebody posted this on the feed. I was like, wait a second. I was like, wait 1 second. Thank you. I forgot who it was who posted it, but I was like, man, this might be a nice little gift. Nice little surprise. So I clicked on it. I was like, I was not ready.
No, I wasn't.
I was not ready. I didn't know what I was getting myself into, but it turned out to be a nice little gift basket.
Yeah, it was. It definitely was. We don't have the audio for you, but you can find it online very easily. And in this, because Barbecue Becky is the one this was in San Francisco, I believe, or
Oakland.
Oakland was around St. Oakland, just over the bridge. But yeah, she was calling the police because people were using incorrect grilling, incorrect grilling equipment, charcoal grilling, and so she thought it was imperative to call the police and let them know that a injustice was happening, some great violation was happening. So she called the police, and there were 2 times she called, and so both tapes were released. And in the first one, she just noted, she told them her name, she told them what's going on. It was the second one that was the most funny to me, because this was like 2 hours later. Yeah, and the operator is hilarious. She's asking her if she's ever been to I forgot the name of it, but it's like a mental facility.
Yeah.
She's asking her if she knows that facility.
See, it's bad. You know it's bad because I have a couple of friends who work dispatch, and they tell me that they were supposed to refrain. No matter how stupid the call is, they still have to maintain the utmost professionalism. Right. So apparently, after a certain point, she was considered a nuisance, and the call wasn't taken seriously because there wasn't any violation to address. Yeah. The second one was funny because of that, because the operator was like, okay.
She's like, why are you still there?
Why are you still there? Essentially playing with her, toying with her, and Barbecue Becky didn't even recognize it.
No, she didn't.
She was just so in her own
inside.
world.
Yeah, she was inside
her own
couldn't
world.
See nothing
she
else.
Couldn't see that the operator was like, yeah, you need to step off. You have there's nothing we can do. In the first tape, it kind of starts off with her saying, I like it dealt with immediately, so that coals don't burn more children, and we have to pay more taxes. I was like, oh, what?
Oh god. Oh
gosh. So really, she tried to make this about the kids, dog. She's looking out for the kids. She don't want
do it for the babies.
Do it for the babies, man. She care about the babies, man. She love the kids. She love the kids.
Yo, man, that junk was so. And then one of my favorite parts. It's like a play or something.
Oh no.
One of my favorite parts was when. Because the woman that was filming her at the location, she was like, give me my car back, give me my car back, you stole my property, give me my car back, give me my car back. So the operator was like, do you have some of her property? And Jennifer Schulte was like, no. And she was like, why does she keep asking for her property? And she was like, am I on speakerphone? And Jennifer Schulte was like, no. She was like, can you put me on speakerphone?
Oh yeah.
And she said no.
First of all, you were the one who called the police, so you want their assistance. So if they say, hey, could you put me on speakerphone, put us on speakerphone so we could better assist you in this situation. That tells me, see, what that tells me is she realized there was still a part of her that was like, oh, shit, I'm looking stupid right now. But I'm going to remain in my insanity. So I'm going to remain in my insanity, like, and I'm going to try to, like, get out of this.
Yes.
But it's like, you can't do both. And she was caught in both. Man, racism, though, just her shit. She probably does have some mental issues, dog.
She probably does, man. And I just can't. Stanford had distanced himself from her like a long time ago. I guess soon after this, that kind of played itself out, saying that she was just a student there. I think she was in the doctorate program, but that she was never employed there. I don't know how that got out. I guess somebody that tried to do the digging to identify her saw her affiliation to Stanford and maybe assumed that she did possibly work there. But Stanford's like, nope, we don't want that crazy. Nope, she's not with us. No, she just has, I think maybe she has a degree or maybe she just took classes there. I have no idea. But yeah, the tape is actually, it's pretty long. It's like
12 minutes.
It's like 12 minutes.
12 minutes long.
Yeah,
it's
so
12 minutes
we
long.
weren't going to play that whole clip, that whole tape on the show. So,
yeah, so
definitely, you want to see it? You want to hear it?
Yeah,
definitely go out there.
Fun.
Just try to find it. It's very easy to find. It's on YouTube. It's hilarious, man. All right, but with that, we're going to close down this portion of the show so we can get to callers.
We can get to the callers.
No doubt.
I'd love to, talk to people who have a trolling mentality. That would be pretty fun. It would be pretty interesting if people have a valid point to bring up. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the people, or a few people, kind of like trolling in the comment section, talking nonsense. We would be happy if you would call up to have a conversation with us. You know what I'm saying? You have the floor to, if free debate of ideas. Bring up something and we'll talk about it.
No doubt.
If you ain't scared, which I think that's the case, but because we have a lot of, loyal followers, loyal listeners who tune into the show every Tuesday and Thursday, and they give us a call. And they bring up topics. Sometimes they, disagree with us on occasions and we talk it out. For the most part, there's a lot of agreement. I have no problem with that. But, I wish people who would, to people who are talking the most trash in the comment section, who have the most, things to say, the most contrarian opinions, I wish they would call up, so we can iron these things out. You know what I'm saying?
I feel you, man.
You know what I'm saying? Just gotta iron these things out. You know what I'm saying?
I do feel you, man.
But they never call up. They never call. They never call, man. I think that's kind of telling. You know what I'm saying?
You want them to call, man?
I do, man. I really want to have a conversation with some of these people, man.
Well, let's give them the number, okay?
Yeah, give them the number, bro.
So the number to call into the show, LTMB Live, is 669-900-6833.
Dog, as soon as you said 669, dog, you know what I thought of?
What?
Our Days in the Club. 669. Sorry, dog.
Was it 669?
I don't know. That's what I remember.
Probably the last number was 9, though.
Something. All I remember is something 9. With Yin Yang Twins.
You messed me up now. I can't remember it now. I can't remember it now. But yeah, definitely. We definitely want anybody that has a question or a comment, definitely call in. Let us know how you're feeling. This is your opportunity to get what's on your chest out.
Yeah, say what's on your chest. Say what's on your chest.
Yeah. So we already have a caller that is waiting. So let's get to that. Hold on a second. Let me set this up.
Oh.
All right, yeah, there we go.
L Train knows the lyrics.
Damn it. Nope. I got to put this on first. All right, hold up.
L Train knows the lyrics. I'm not surprised. It was 369 L Train? I forgot. But I remember back in me and Will and I's clubbing days, man.
What was it? What was it?
I think it was 369.
369. Yeah, that sounds.
I did have I'm a little ashamed to admit this, but I did have a Yin Yang Twins greatest hits CD. Yes, I did. I admit I did. But I'm just telling you, man, that them songs used to do something else to them chicks, man. It used to make them straight gallop to the dance floor, man. It was a
like
stampede.
Brainwashing. It was like brainwashing kind of music or something like that, man.
Wait do you see my? I was like, oh, wait do you see my?
There were certain songs that once they came on,
Shake It Like a Salt Shaker.
Yeah, it was like
stampede to the dance floor. I was like, I really appreciate Yin Yang Twins' presence in my younger days, man, because man, that got them on the dance floor, bro.
All right, let me. All right. So I think we're good now. All right, so let's welcome in the first caller. It's from the 704 area code. I think this is our man Will. What's going on? Hello.
What's up? Can you hear me?
Hold on. You know what? Let me make sure that we are not muted. Hold up. Yeah. All right. Here we go. You hear us, Will?
Okay. There it is.
All right. How you doing, man?
Hold on one. All right. I'm good, man. How you doing?
Good, man.
Yeah. Excuse me. Well, one thing. I want to ask you a question. I wanted to kind of address this on your last show, but I didn't really feel like I had the opportunity. At one point in our conversation, what was it? Last Thursday, you had mentioned that the mainstream media is what shapes popular opinion. And I do believe that used to be the case up until fairly recently. It may still be the case. I'm really not sure, but I was kind of personally of the mind that maybe mainstream media is not quite a fitting name anymore, and that alternative media such as like your show and many other sources of independent journalism and shows now may have become more mainstream than the mainstream media. So I didn't know if you really had an opinion on that, or what was your take on that?
Like, what do you mean? Like, specifically, you're talking about how mainstream media influences the masses? Is that kind of like your focus?
No. What I'm asking. What I was asking is, I guess we were talking about the legacy media when we were referring to mainstream media. The conversation we were having was about, I didn't want to go into this specifically, but we were talking about the comments that made on Twitter by Ocasio-Cortez in regard to John McCain's death, and part of your argument was that the mainstream media, and I believe it was clear that we were talking about the legacy media, such as the major corporate news media in the United States, was what shaped popular opinion, and that may be the case. I'm not really prepared to suggest otherwise, or any more than to say that I was more of the mind that may not have been really the mainstream media anymore in a technical sense.
Okay. And you're talking about shaping opinion in regard to specifically Ocasio-Cortez.
No, just in general. What I'm saying is that I'm not sure that people are being driven. People's opinions are being driven by the legacy media the way they used to be. Well, that's obviously is the case, but I'm saying that I'm not sure it's the majority anymore. That I'm not sure that people are consuming the legacy media, the traditional legacy media, the way that, or even as much as alternative media that's not that.
I think what the I guess the typical mainstream media that you're talking about, like your cable news programs, CBS, NBC, stuff like that. I think
right.
For the most part, I think for the most part, people as a group. The more people that intake the news, I think they still do intake that corporate, I guess that corporate narrative. Now, do they?
You're probably right.
Do they like
you're probably
believe
right.
in it as
You're
much
probably
as like? Do they believe in it as much as they used to? Do they just? I mean, do they feel like the?
Oh yeah, obviously not.
Like the corporate media narrative is as trustworthy as it once was, or like, probably not. Yeah, probably not.
Right. Well, yeah, I'd say definitely not. But you're. I don't know, man. You're probably right. I don't know. I think it's hard to say, man. I think that there is an attempt on us to be led to believe that that's still the case, and it may still be, but I'm not completely sure. But yeah, I wanted to see what your opinion or what you thought about it. So I don't know, man. You may be right though about that. I'm just honestly, like personally, I'm just not completely sure. But I don't know. It's kind of hard to say because it still is very powerful. I mean, it still does have a major impact. That much is clear. So the legacy media. But I guess to move forward, I did want to get back to something I was talking about before, just to hopefully make what I was saying a little bit more clear. And it was about our discussion about free will and why it's relevant. And I just want to say that I know this isn't mainstream as far as what people seem to understand, but it is academia, the scientists, neuroscientists, psychologists, and psychiatrists. I mean, it has become all but settled. I mean, it's accepted that free will, the way that we have tended to believe it exists, is an illusion. And the real question is, and I'm sure this is what the elite sit around and think about, the real question is, do we accept that? It's sort of a nihilistic point of view. Do we accept that, or do we try to pretend that free will still exists? And if you're going to do that, of course, you're going to try to keep as many people believing in free will as you can. And I'll get to the relevance. For example, I just want to make clear too that we can't make the mistake of thinking that the lack of free will puts forward a fatalistic point of view. The fatalistic point of view is that our actions don't matter at all. They just don't matter. No matter what we do, just doesn't matter. And that's not the case. It's more deterministic in the fact that we can't really control anything, but we do still act in very much a similar way that we would even if we do accept the existence of free will. So I just want to point that out. But and the reason this is why it's relevant. Look at, for example, 9/11 and the response to 9/11, and then look at the response to Hurricane Katrina. As far as Hurricane Katrina was concerned, we wanted to rebuild, to take steps to ensure that a disaster such as that wouldn't happen again. Where with 9/11, it was a pretty rational response. There was some failures, of course, but it was a rational response to a natural disaster. Well, with 9/11, instead of us treating it like a natural disaster, which it was the result of a failure of our socioeconomic system, we treated it as a incarnation of evil, which is not technically accurate at all. So that's why it's relevant, and that's why I think this is the discussion that should underpin the way to move forward. And any sort of real revolution will answer this question, this particular question. So, with 9/11, we in our irrational response to such a thing as evil, a mythological thing as evil, we killed hundreds, thousands, more people. We've wasted, the amounts of resources that could sustain humankind for decades, and just such a completely irrational response to a mythological thing that really doesn't exist has led us to such irrational responses. And that's why I say that the foundations of a rational and civilized human society will need to come from a place of truth and reality and facts.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's something to talk about. And maybe we can address that afterward. There are some callers that are lining up, so we definitely want to get their voices in here too.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll put you on mute, and then we're gonna take the next call. All right.
Okay. Appreciate it.
All right, 770. You're on the air live with LTMB.
Hello?
Hey, how you doing? Who's this?
Yes, Tony.
Hey, what's going on, Tony?
What's going on, man?
Yeah, I was just wanted to comment about the Gillum race in Florida. I said the Gillum race, the governor race.
Oh yeah, see, you already know what's up. It's the Gillum race. You slipped there, but that's all right.
Right.
I like that slip. What's going on, man? What you got?
I was looking through some of the stuff, like who he endorsed in 2016, and he endorsed Hillary Clinton, right?
Hillary
over
Clinton.
Bernie.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I know. Yeah, he said Hillary Clinton was the right choice to make. Yeah.
I mean, that's why you gotta watch some people, but maybe that was just a mistake, because also Elizabeth Warren, she did the same thing.
Right, she did.
So I mean, yeah, I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Yeah, it's definitely important to I guess consider that with everything else. You can't just discard that. I think in the case of Elizabeth Warren, it was worse for me.
It was worse.
It was worse
she
because
had more of a national.
She had more of a national
platform, stature, or whatever.
And it I guess how Elizabeth Warren made her name, right, was how basically fighting against Wall Street.
Right.
That's how she made her name, as the person that protected us from the cronyism of Wall Street. And her supporting Hillary Clinton, who was the daughter of Wall Street. You see what I'm saying? Who is it make a lot of sense. She's a friend of big banks. Right. Someone who, what did she say? She went to NASDAQ. Remember that, Will? Well, that's Will's favorite story.
Oh, I love that one.
She went to NASDAQ.
I went to NASDAQ.
Like,
and I told her, cut it out.
I'm like, you can't go to NASDAQ.
You went to the wrong stock exchange, idiot.
So yeah, I think it was more egregious in that regard, because it's like how Elizabeth Warren made her name for herself was the opposite way that Hillary Clinton made a name for herself and what she represented, and she was just on stage, just all hugged up with Hillary Clinton and just cheering, excited, and just holding hands, and just she went to, I guess, promoting Hillary Clinton to the utmost degree that she could. So we're judging which one was worse. I would say Hillary Clinton. But yeah, I think as far as judging Gillum from here on out, I guess if there's nothing, we can point to that, I guess would indicate that he is, I guess, going back on his word or is not genuinely, I guess, going forth with an agenda, then yeah, I do think that could come back to haunt him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
I think
yeah.
if he stays his course, I guess I can, let that go, because then, in previous shows, I think it was the last show, we kind of have to come to grips with the fact that politics is still a game, and that's just the sad part. If you are involved in politics now, there is some things you might have to do to get yourself in the game, to get your foot in the door. You know what I'm saying? So, who knows?
Oh yeah, definitely.
So
also,
knows,
I mean, Bernie endorsed him.
Yeah. Bernie endorsed. I think all the four candidates that Bernie did endorse won in Florida.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But what's really interesting is that Obama did not endorse him.
Yeah, I know.
Which but he endorsed Stacey Abrams, so it don't make any sense. Like, Obama, what are you doing? I don't get it.
Yeah, because like, what were you risking there? You know what I'm saying? What were
Exactly.
you risking endorsing him in Florida? Like, who else would you have endorsed?
Exactly, but he endorses Abrams. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't make any sense what Obama's doing. It's like you endorse Abrams, but not Gillum, but they represent the same ideals. I don't get it.
So yeah, it really doesn't make sense. So it doesn't have a rhyme or reason based on his endorsement of Abrams. So yeah, I don't know. Something is up with that. And again, like, what does Obama have? What does Obama have to lose? If anything, you would think that, since he's out of office and since he already has this perception, I guess, with the opposition party, he has nothing to lose. You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
But again, like Court said, these Democrats are made to be weak. You know what I'm saying? They're born weak, they're nurtured weak, and that's what they do, man. They do stuff that doesn't make sense because of that, because they're here to be the weak party. You know what I'm saying?
Just like with Trump's latest confirmation hearings for his Supreme Court, because there's going to be some Democrats. Yeah, I approve of it. It's going to go. Like, what the?
No doubt. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Those, especially like we noted those Democrats that are facing re-election this year in conservative states that that Trump carried, Heitkamp, Donnelly, Joe Manchin. It's gonna be interesting to see how they vote. I think, like I said, they voted for Gorsuch, so what's gonna be different here? Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, that's all I wanted to bring up, man.
All right, man. Good hearing from you, Tony.
Appreciate it, man.
All right, I'll talk to y'all later.
All right, man.
Out.
All right, so we got 512 that we're gonna go to next. 512. What's going on? You're on the air live with LTMB. Who's this?
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Josh from Texas.
What's going on, Josh?
Man, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, guys? I caught your show finally. I missed it the last couple of times. It's good to hear you again.
Oh,
I'm trying to get my wife to watch. Yeah.
Is that right?
She wants to watch it. She's just always busy watching shows or doing other stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, the Kaepernick ad. I wanted to talk about that. It's just, I don't know. It drives me crazy. My wife says I need to stop thinking about it because it gets me too upset. But I live in Texas. I'm around a lot of conservatives. And it's I try so hard to understand their mindset, like how it's against the flag. I don't get it, like how they see it that way. I guess it's just they have to see it the way that their political party sees it. I don't know. But for example, this guy I was talking to today, something completely different. This is a guy I know in real life. I work with him, and he's a conservative, and he's ranting about this article somebody wrote, and they said they used the word president referring to Trump, and they put an asterisk symbol next to it. He's like, that is disrespectful. to the position, the office of the president. You can say what you want about the president, not agree with it, but you don't disrespect the office of the president. I'm like, you realize that's a slight against Trump. Now, this person made no indication that they're saying the office of the president of the United States is they're not attacking them. They're attacking Trump. They're making specific allegations against Trump. Yeah, but they see it that way, and it's just like, and I'm like, and I know you've disrespected Obama. He's like, well, yeah, I have. Exactly. Like, okay.
I think that's funny because Trump has done so many different things to disrespect the office that he currently sits in right now. So it's like, if people are using his own actions and his own words to say, hey, we're going to be critical of your behavior and your words, like, are we supposed to forget that there is an investigation into him? I mean, like, let's not say it's into him, right? It's into people that are connected to him. You know? So
they think that's all fake.
Yeah. But it could possibly have to do with them at some point. So we can't put all that aside. We can't put aside the things that he has given us to criticize. That's not disrespect. That's just, like you said,
I know.
Obama.
I think people
they can't even
I think people are purposefully kind of using anything that they can in order to shield him from criticism because they support him. So, like, I don't think they believe that. I know, I can imagine that they understand there is a difference between the person and the office, because when Trump goes away, just like Obama went away and Bush went away and Clinton went away and Bush went away and Reagan went away and the office still stands. Trump is going to go away and the office is still going to be there. So they know good and well, like, Trump and the presidency is not one and the same. They're just trying to reach for anything that they can to stop people from criticizing him, and that's another way. Don't disrespect the presidency. Or another one I like is they'll say things like, they'll say, he won the election, get over it. That's another one. I'm like, yeah, like, we're not talking about the election. We're not talking about the election. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about issues after the election. So we're not allowed to criticize anyone that's gotten elected. That wouldn't just apply to presidents. Are we not allowed to criticize anyone simply because they won? So maybe that points to themselves and how they relate to Trump in an authoritarian type way. You see what I'm saying? So, like, they relate to him in some kind of way to feel sympathy for him, because they too are insecure in the same way, but in a different context. Like, Trump is insecure because he's a failure at business and he doesn't get the respect he thinks he deserves. And so he operates with this, like, this extraordinary level of insecurity in regard to how he practices politics, to where the people that he appeals to, they are, I would say, economically insecure. They're insecure for a different reason. They're insecure because they feel, I guess, talked down to and marginalized for being racist and being bigots. And so they don't feel that they have gotten their rightful spot in this kind of American empire, and they feel that Trump is going to give that to them. So they relate to him in, like, similar ways. But I don't know, man. Well, I mean, what you got Ted Cruz out there and Beto O'Rourke going at each other. You got any?
Yeah.
So what's the temperature out there in regard to, like, Ted Cruz?
Man, I wish Beto would win, but I just don't see it happening. I just don't. Not here in Texas. I mean, Austin, of course, will vote for him strongly. Houston will probably be about half and half, but the rest of the Texas is all going to vote for Cruz. It's just, I mean, I know these polls say it's close, but I have a hard time believing that.
Yeah, all the polls.
I mean, I guess we'll see. All this stuff about him, like, in that hit and run and all that's coming out. They're really slamming him hard, which doesn't look good for him.
Yeah,
there is some some bad stuff about him in his past.
Yeah,
and,
Ted
the
Cruz
Republicans, unless you're a Republican, that's a big deal. So, I don't know. We'll see. A lot of people are hopeful, but, you drive around, you see Beto signs everywhere. You don't see Cruz signs anywhere. So who knows? It could happen. I mean, I'm going to vote for him, but I don't know. But yeah, I think the Kaepernick thing is just so weird to me. And like this guy, I'm in Texas. They're all about these conspiracy theories. Pizzagate. They all believe that. Like this guy's like, I can show you the way. I can show you the symbols in the code from 2,000 years ago that you can link it. I can leak it all. And I'm like, really? That you can prove that? Like in a court, you could. Oh yeah, they should prosecute her for child sex rings. I'm like, well, what about Trump? What about that? What about the 20 indictments and his own people? Oh no, that's fake. That's fake. No. What about his own people going against him? No, LOL. No, that's not real. That's fake. It's just like, oh my god, dude. Like what? I don't understand your logic. Like you're talking about vague things about pizza and email, and like that's like it's not even circumstantial evidence. It wouldn't even qualify as that. It's like nothing. It's like crazy. They're crazy, man.
Yeah, and I think what makes a lot of conspiracy theories a little suspect and distasteful is like it just seems as if like they're using their conspiracy angles as a cover to operate in the same partisan politics they were operating in before. They just don't see it because it seems as if all these conspiracy theories still lead back to a political enemy that they've always had. They just kind of frame it differently. It's a more sophisticated way of doing it. So it's like this whole pedogate seems to always like go back to Hillary Clinton. If I think it's a big problem, especially seeing what came out about the Catholic Church. I do think there is, could quite possibly be some, network of organized pedophiles. I'm not saying it's not possible. Yeah, I'm saying it's very, very likely.
Yeah, sure.
Probably
I'm
a lot
sure
of
there's
protectionism.
Stuff like
probably
that.
Protectionism going on as far as in high places, whether it be government, corporate, but like will
the
I
evidence is laughable though.
But when I pin that on like one party though, you see what I'm saying? That's where it then goes off the rails, and I can't trust you because now you're trying to pin some sort of pathology like on a party. So you're still practicing the same partisan politics. You're just doing it through conspiracy, and that's how they kind of the allure of it. You know what I'm saying? They're still practicing the same kind of politics. You're just doing it in a more extravagant way. If it wasn't politically or partisan driven conspiracy, I may listen, but since it is and always leads back to the same enemies, nah.
Yeah, their evidence was like they show me the emails, and I'm like, I don't understand how you're extrapolating that from what they said. And they're like, oh, this is code. If you go back 2,000 years, this is code the Masons used for young having sex with kids. I'm like, what are you talking about? And then they're like, oh, the art that what's the guy's name who wrote the Podesta, the art in his house. You look at it, it's just a statue. Like there's nothing that says. There's not a statue of like having sex with a kid. It's just a regular statue. And they're like, oh, 10,000 years ago, this was symbolism for whatever, it's like, oh, what are you insane? But I mean, Texas, it's like crazy. I mean, this is where Alex Jones is. I'm surrounded by these people here. It's insane. Like they're everywhere. So maybe I just have a skewed view of it, but it's like, it's so crazy here.
I think it's a little. I think a little bit of it is, like people trying to make sense of the world. Because I dipped into that a lot when I was younger. Probably when I was like 19, 20, 21, 22 for like good 5 or 6 years. I was kind of like I wasn't into it that deep, but I kind of dabbled in the
you probably
the
still had a sense
David
of what
Icke
was
stuff.
Good evidence.
Yeah, exactly. I
Right?
always needed like some evidence to connect it, because to me that's disempowering. Because sometimes you build all these unseen things up, all these boogeymen, you build them up, and what they actually do is they become like entities that you have no control over. And I think that it is very alluring. I think
Yeah.
having an enemy that you can't see, you know, like how a superhero has a villain, like good has evil. I think that's a part of us. That's the duality, and sometimes having that there like fulfills that particular need to exist in this duality. And if it's not there in a very extreme way, sometimes we will invent those ways. And I think the bigger the demon, the bigger the villain, I guess the more extravagant, then the more alluring. And so I do think that it's a bit of like fantasy driven approach to life. And it's something that will never go away. If you establish some very extravagant unseen hand, if you establish this boogeyman, then it's unfalsifiable and it's always going to be there. It's almost
Right.
both a sense of, it like provides a sense of like power, and it provides a sense of helplessness, which is kind of like a contradiction. It's weird because without that, like, where would they be? Without that, where would they be?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it kind of
And
like,
the government, yeah, and there is basis for it too. Like the government has absolutely lied to us and has done horrible things. Like just look at the Vietnam War, probably one of the worst things that the government ever lied to us about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the way they treated black people, all the crazy stuff that they've done is insane.
It's out in the open. It's out in the open. It's no like, I don't need to believe in an unseen hand or conspiracies to see how fucked up our world is. You know what I'm saying? It's not necessary.
Exactly.
That's
people. I know.
People
I always
go to
tell
those
them,
extremes.
Like, why do you need to believe this?
I think people go to that because it's an escape from having to deal with the actual like fucked up nature of our world, and it kind of gets us away from taking responsibility as a human race, a human group, the people who are really responsible for this bullshit. Because everything that, all the traits and all the qualities that people project onto the unseen boogeymen, whether it be it's lying, distortion, distorting truth, deceitfulness, manipulation, violence, callousness, lack of humanity, all that, I can walk out my door and find that in the households in my neighborhood. I can
Yeah.
You know, not calling out my own family, my own like immediate family. I love them. They ain't none. Those are some flawless individuals. I'm blessed to have been raised by them. But if I'm looking at my extended family, we got some fucking issues. I'm not going to air my family's dirty laundry, but there's some things that I definitely have a problem with. And like all the bad traits, like I said, all of the bad deeds, the most powerful people do, and all the disgusting things we attribute to them, I guarantee you can find them in your own damn family. And so until humanity kind of like understands that we are just like getting mad at a broad projection of what humanity is, this shit will never be solved. And we're going to always continuously look to like break things down from the top down instead of like looking around us and see how we fucked up our own world. You know what I'm saying? Like, and stop looking for like a devil, because that's what conspiracy theory is. It's just a political version of like, you know, I guess you would call it religion, who hoist this devil up as being responsible for all the world's evil. And a lot of people, you know, don't want to see that. I'm talking too much, but you can just jump in anytime you want to.
No, that's a really interesting view on it. I think that makes a lot of sense. You know, I think there's multiple facets too, of course. I think you touched on a lot of them, but I don't know. It just drives me crazy. But I won't take up too much of your time. I don't know if you have someone else holding, but I appreciate that viewpoint on it. That's definitely some good insight on it. I think there's a lot of truth to that.
All right, Josh. Well, we appreciate you calling in, man, and look forward to the next time you call in and lay some knowledge on us. And we thank you for trying to get your wife involved too, man.
Yeah, she wants to call. I'll set her up sometimes. She's just busy all the time. But all right, yeah, guys, have a good night.
All right.
Yeah, appreciate you calling, man.
Have a good night, man.
Yeah.
All right, so we got Will still holding on. Will, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. You got anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, I was going to expound a little bit further.
Just to let you know, we got about 3 minutes left. Just over 3 minutes.
Okay. All right. And I kind of forgot where I was going when I started listening a few minutes ago. But, yeah, I was, I guess I could say that, well, let me go here. I know everybody's not going to go to a certain extent to sort of understand the underlying psychology of human beings. We all have our own personal things that we care about, and some of us, others, just don't care about the things that I do. You may have something you care about that I just don't care about. So we all have our own way we go. But when it comes to the staples of a society, then there are certain people that we should look to who have done the work and who do understand, have done the science. And I think that I hope that we get to a point where we can listen to both sides of the argument, or three sides of an argument, or whatever, in a legitimate way, and that we have some legitimacy to making decisions together to move society in a positive direction. We're entering a new age, a technology, science age, and just like every time this has happened before throughout human history, which is very short, we've had a revolutionary, or a socioeconomic revolution, and we're to the point where that's necessary again. And hopefully it'll go a little smoother this time. But I'm skeptical, like everybody else. We're in bad shape, and our technology our technological maturity has far outran our social maturity, and it's showing, and it's dangerous, very dangerous. So I guess that's all I'd like to say.
Word. I believe that kind of last part summed it up. I think that's always been the case. I guess you're talking about where we're at now. I guess the technological advancement happens so rapidly that it's harder to catch up. And so it's kind of more extreme now. Like I said, I think that's always been the case. I think our advancement as a species, as far as technologically and what we have the ability to do, has always outpaced our readiness for that technology. I think it's always been like that. But I would say I agree with you and that it's worse.
And we're coming up on some technological advancements and some discoveries that when they come about in the type of socioeconomic systems that we have now, it's going to be extremely dangerous. Go ahead.
Yeah, Will, if you are still on the show, I'm pretty sure you are listening. The Zoom ended, so that Zoom session just ended. Yeah. So we didn't cut you off. That was the Zoom session at this time. We just lost him. So thanks for calling in, Will.
We appreciate you calling in.
Yeah, spending so much time with us. And
quickly, I'm gonna go back to something that Josh was talking about with what gets him upset with the whole NFL argument, the players kneeling. It's funny because, and I think I've made this case before too, they are being way more, I guess, considerate than I would be. Well, I guess considerate in what they're stating about their feelings about why they're doing what they're doing. It's never been about the flag. It's never been about the national anthem. For me, it definitely would be about the national anthem included. Like, I understand the effort is to raise awareness to what's going on in this country as it relates to criminal justice, as it relates to police brutality and unjust killings, all of that. The whole system needs to be revamped, right? So that we do actually get a situation where police officers are being held accountable. DAs are actually doing their job and working for the people, not law enforcement, right? So I understand all that. But for me, it is about the national anthem as well. Like, if you did the history, and I don't know how many times we have talked about this, but if you actually go back into the history and you look up Francis Scott Key, who wrote this, these verses, and you go back to the War of 1812 and you see what the motivation was for him actually coming, putting these lyrics together. Some of the lyrics that aren't a part of the song that is sang and performed at all of these sporting events. It's a wretched song. It's an absolutely wretched song, and it doesn't stand for justice. It doesn't stand for all of us, liberty and justice, freedom for all. It doesn't stand for any of that. So I would have no problem if these players were actually vocal about their opposition to the actual national anthem. I would have no problem with that whatsoever, but they aren't even doing that. You understand? So that's why it's like like all they're doing, they're not even disrespecting. I would be disrespecting the national anthem. You understand? Mm-hmm. They're not even doing that, and yet it's still like the end of the world. It's a crazy premise, man. Oh boy, it's something, man. Anyway, just an update on the Massachusetts House District 7. I thought it was 4, but it's House District 7. Ayanna Pressley and Michael Capuano. It's just under half. Half of the precincts have reported, about 42%, and Ayanna Pressley is holding about a 10% lead. 9.5, something like that. It's about 3,500 votes, something like that. So still a long way to go. Again, they're both, we've talked about this, they're both pretty much the same. They talk about the same things and about the same in the same ways. I think I said on the last show that if for no other reason than Michael Capuano has been in Congress for damn near 20 years, like, I'd support Ayanna Pressley. I'm tired of these career politicians, these career Congress members. Like, get up out of there. There's no way you should still be there. Some people have been there for like 40 years. I was watching like I said, I was watching the confirmation hearing just earlier today for Brett Kavanaugh, and just seeing these older politicians, man, these older Congress members, Grassley, Hatch, I forgot there was another one on the Democratic side. His name is escaping me at the moment. But I'm like, man, if you're doing the right thing, cool. Cool, But damn, we need some new blood, man. We really need some new blood in there. We don't need these ones staying in the office for 20, 30, 40 years. It's just,
you would think that like our representatives kind of would be more of a reflection of who we are. I'm not even just talking about demographically, as far as like ethnicity. That's another subject. Yeah. But dang, as far as like age,
right?
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree, man. I don't know, man. I just don't think they can. How much good could they do if they haven't done it yet? If the country's still a mess right now. I understand there's maybe not I don't know. There are some good candidates running. They're just not getting supported by the Democratic establishment, of course, because you want the Democratic Party to stay a certain way. You don't want America changing into, the progressive vision that a lot of us have in this country. So, I don't know, man.
I didn't want to kind of break away to this comment in the middle of a segment. I think it was either in the middle of a segment or maybe somebody was talking in the phone. I can't remember, but Malicious brought up the Childish Gambino video. Yeah, she did. The Feels Like Summer. She mentioned that Gollum was in it. I'm not Gollum, but Gillum. I keep saying Gollum like it's some damn Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. I couldn't keep up with all of the characters that were in that video.
Yeah, man.
That video was.
I mean, it was.
I loved it.
Now,
loved that video.
I think that people got that part twisted. Everybody's like, "Where's Tupac? Where's Biggie? Where's Eminem?" I'm like, it wasn't about that. It was more about he was probably walking through his experience, more so, and maybe.
I mean, there were some older figures like Michael Jackson,
I think those were supposed to represent something,
right?
So he wasn't just putting.
You got to pay homage to everybody,
and he wasn't necessarily paying homage to the people because it was like Lil Uzi, that dude with the candy braids, whatever that dude's name is. I can't remember his name. I don't listen to that stuff.
Migos in there.
Yeah, so it's like, he was just kind of like. To me, just kind of, he wasn't just channeling himself through that. You know what I'm saying? He was probably trying to stay a bit current and then throw some specific figures in there.
Right.
But man, that video, though, not just the video, but I think the lyrics in it. I think you have to definitely check out the lyrics, man, because that was definitely about, capitalism and global warming. Or just climate change, not just global warming, but climate change and capitalism. Them lyrics was strong, and it was just I described it on Facebook as being creative and conscientious.
Right.
And just the way he was hitting those notes and how he was hitting them, it reminded me of Marvin Gaye. That's what it reminded me of. He was channeling Marvin Gaye.
It was a very smooth flow, man.
Smooth, dog.
Yeah. I saw it. I had to rewatch it a couple times, man. Look, Childish Gambino is putting some hits out there. And not just in the music, but just what he's actually creating in terms of a video element, man.
But again, that Joker is I call him a Renaissance man. Because the Joker can sing, he can act, he's a comedian. But then but see, I don't he actually directs too and writes. So he's not just he's not a performer. He he actually takes great I guess I don't know, he takes a great effort into creating this stuff too and being the brains behind it. You know what I'm saying? Whether it be videos or television shows, it's crazy, man.
Very talented, man. Very talented.
At such a young age, man.
Yeah, man. So update again on U.S. House District 7 in Massachusetts. It's been called. Ayanna Pressley is going to win that race, that primary. So looks like Michael Capuano is on the way out.
Oh.
That didn't sound sincere.
Really?
That didn't sound
I wasn't
sincere.
trying. I really didn't have the energy to try. I seriously didn't have the energy to try.
Again, like I said, in terms of their platform, virtually the same. But I think it's a good look actually getting some new blood in, and hopefully she will be hopefully she will spur some more change than maybe Capuano was able to do. Like I said, he did have a progressive platform. The first thing that's on his page though is resist Trump, which is, I hate when I see that because it's so empty. It's, stick to the issues. If there's an actual issue that you want to talk about, then do that. Just don't make it about Trump, because we know it's not just about Trump.
Because and another reason why that's dumb is because really all Trump does to set himself apart from his fellow Republicans is kind of his rhetorical agency. That's it. Like his rudeness, his kind of bombastic rhetoric, his Twitter rage, really that's the only thing that sets him apart from Republicans. Everything else like he's doing is a Republican agenda. So to be like anti-Trump or just resist Trump as if Trump is not like following through with an agenda that the Republicans have kind of always fought for, then like you're missing the whole point. And I do think it is limiting your, I guess, resistance. That's just dumb. It's just dumb. Like you're making it sound like somehow this Trump agenda is just so separate and apart from like what Republicans have always wanted to do, simply because Trump is more radical in his speech. You know what I'm saying? And more just open with his need to insult, not just need, his actual insults. Like that doesn't make him different. And it's funny how he's not different in the right ways. That's the problem. Yeah. Like, so people are trying to find something to cast Trump as a different politician, and he is. He's just different in the wrong ways. Like he's not different in a significant way.
In terms of substance, he's not different.
He's not different
in style.
But see, people are looking to that and pointing to that as proof. Since he's different in style, it automatically means he's different in substance when he's not.
No, he's the same.
He's the same. He's the damn same.
All right, so there was definitely the local race, or the local races maybe, that we were talking about too. One of them was Rochelle Rollins. Is it? Yeah, Rochelle Rollins. She is trying to become the district attorney of, what county was it? It's the county that holds Boston in Massachusetts. It escapes my head right now. Hold on. Let me see if I can pull it up. Somebody probably beat me to
Mayor Rahm Emanuel of Chicago won't seek a third term. That's what Moose Guy was telling us.
I saw that. Good. About downtown. I said Rachel. What? Yeah, Suffolk County. Did anybody beat me to it? Nope, nobody beat me to it. Oh, look at that! I beat you. Sorry. See, I got it.
Nah, dog. I don't know.
I got it.
I think Mr. did. I think I didn't scroll down. I think it was already there.
Damn. Anyway. Yeah, Suffolk County, and then there's another one as well that was in the neighboring county. I think it's Middlesex County. She was endorsed by the Boston Globe as well. Seems like she has a very progressive platform. But I don't see anything about them as of right now. Let me see if there's anywhere I can go. I know it's harder to get the state results.
Freya, that is probably true. Rahm probably has a job lined up in Wall Street somewhere. Like you said, defense contractor. One of the two. And if it's not one of those two, it's something similar. He's put his time in, so he's worked for it.
Okay, so masslive.com is doing live results. Let's see. Okay, all right. 42% of precincts reporting, of course. Rachel Rollins is in the lead right now. She's got about 37.5% of the vote. So that's very, very good. Very good if you can get somebody else. Like I said, I called her a Larry Krasner type of district attorney, and that would be important for the for Boston and the whole of Suffolk County. Definitely, we need more types like that sitting in those chairs, because it starts there. I mean, look,
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. I mean,
it can start with law enforcement,
but
who's making the
decision to prosecute them?
Right.
That's the thing. So if there is no, I guess if a law enforcement doesn't have somebody to hold them accountable, then of course it's going to keep happening. But if they know there's a prosecutor that will, then they might think twice or a third time or a fourth time before they abuse their power. And I don't know what's so hard about that. I don't understand if they're just there to objectively enforce the law as it is written. Why should their feelings get involved in that? I don't understand.
Why should they?
You know what I'm saying? Like, it just seems as if, and a lot of times they're escalating the level of force they use when it's not necessary. Like, we understand that there's going to be some resistance to law enforcement that will require a certain level of force, when they're in the process of capturing criminals. We're not talking about that. You know what I'm saying? Because again, if you are in it to enforce the law, you just enforce the law. I don't understand the need to abuse people, you know what I'm saying, or to, hit people with sucker punches or kick people in the throat, kick people in the head, or throw people against a car. Again, if your job is to enforce the law, then all that's not necessary. And that's kind of all we want to focus on and talk about. So these district attorneys are very important in trying to, I guess, provide some sort of, I would say like a judicial social safety net.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't say a judicial, but I would say like a justice system.
So the other
social safety net.
The other candidate in Middlesex County is Donna Padalano, and she's taking on the incumbent. I think it's Marion Taylor, but I haven't seen anything about that yet. Okay, hold on. Here we go. Let's see. 35%. Yeah, okay, here. 35% of the precincts report in, and the incumbent holds about a 5,000 vote lead right now. Marion Ryan, not Marion Taylor. Marion Ryan. So, there's still votes to be counted, so that race isn't over yet, so we'll see. But anyway, I think we're gonna get out of here, man.
True that.
It's just after 10 o'clock, so we're gonna get out of here. We hope everybody enjoyed the show tonight. The next show is gonna be at 7 p.m. again. Get used to it. 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's gonna be on Thursday, just like always. We just bumped it up an hour, going back to our original time. And I think this will work out better. But again, hope you enjoyed the show. We appreciate our callers that called in tonight. Tony, Josh, and Will. Thank you for contributing to the stream and giving us your thoughts on different issues. We look forward to hearing from y'all again.
True
and
that.
Definitely want to give a shout out to our patrons on patreon.com as well, who give us their hard-earned money every month, and contribute to this show and this platform, and tries to ensure that we can update it and upgrade it and invite more people in, just increase the reach. Again, we appreciate you all. Everybody in the chat section too, mixing it up. Handling all of the I won't say all of them, but handling these sometimes
these riffraff,
sometimes trolls.
True that. We need, what I'm saying, we like it when y'all up in the chat room,
no doubt,
telling them to get off your lawn.
Got anything else, man?
Man, I ain't got nothing else. See that people giving Will a hard time in the chat though.
Is that right?
Yeah, Will is taking some hits on the chin.
My namesake.
I know Will is taking some hits on the chin. Y'all leave Will alone. y'all leave Will alone. Y'all leave him alone to express his original thoughts.
See, I ain't never gonna get old right there.
Oh
man.
no, I ain't gonna let Will live that down.
Original thoughts. All right, man. Appreciate all y'all that made it out for this stream. We'll see y'all in a couple days. Until then, have a good night, and let the madness begin. All right, peace out.